Hello, travelers. My name is Thomas the Human Bard, and I am joined today by...
Mercy the Tiefling Wizard.
Onog the Half-Orc Barbarian.
And Bean the Rock Gnome Rogue.
Oh.
Oh boy.
And your three friends that you've brought with you. Who are these people?
Oh, yes. Well, this is Pawn.
Jal and Ringo.
Pawn,
And you all know
Jal,
Ringo.
and Ringo.
Yeah, we've heard of Ringo.
Yeah.
We are all off on a side quest. It's another
Which
side
is perfect,
quest.
because I was just about to talk about the next Zelda player race that I've homebrewed. Why are you guys...
No.
Where-
Look, you can't break in
That's
again.
not what
We've
the
got to
side quest
actually get this side quest done. It'll be too late. But we will
Wait,
get back.
this was you guys were really on a side quest? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we were trying to do this.
We finally remembered after we cleared out our quest journal, and we're like, oh, right, that new Unearthed Arcana
Yeah.
that came out, we got to do that.
Because we were walking along, and in order to get the, ring that we needed to get for the blacksmith's daughter, we ran into that old woman, and she was like, oh, if you want to get the ring, you'll need to go into the woods and talk about the new Unearthed Arcana 2021 Draconic options.
So that's what we're doing now.
We're
So
doing
that's what
that.
we're doing. But fear not, Onog. We will get back to your Legend of Zelda homebrew player race options because they're really cool and I really like them. And
Okay,
so,
I'll put them back in my bag for now.
even if nobody else likes them, I will make episodes with you about them because I think they're really sick.
Who else do you think doesn't like them?
I don't care. That's the thing. I'll do them anyway.
Yay.
Look, Onog, we don't care what people say about not liking your stuff.
We don't care how many people comment and say, I hate this content.
Yeah.
We
All,
will-
all of the comments saying, shut down the channel, it's over, you ruined it.
We don't care.
No,
about
we got
any of
very
that.
positive feedback. Very
Is that
positive
why I
comments.
couldn't find the video when I was looking for it?
No, the video is up. You can go check it out yourselves if you're interested in playing a Goron character in D&D. On today's episode, though, Bean, you are correct. We will be discussing Unearthed Arcana 2021 Draconic Options. This Unearthed Arcana is brought to us by Ben Petrazor, Tamor, Raymond, Dan Dillon, James, Wyatt, and Jeremy Crawford.
Come on down!
Oh,
I like
Jeremy
to-
Crawford's bringing a chair.
Jeremy Who is this? It's Jeremy
Good
with
to
a
see
steel
Wyatt's
chair.
It's more like Jeremy Crawford.
Nice.
Jeremy Chairford?
Editor's note, please add just cricket noises right after whatever Bean just said.
This playtest document presents race, feat, and spell options related to dragons in Dungeons & Dragons.
I'm glad that they're finally adding dragons to
Yes.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, me too.
'cause
I'm glad they finally got there. We've been waiting for years. You know, it's
Yeah.
been
They've been
dungeons,
hyper-focused on the
dungeons.
dungeons
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
And
And
we
just
were like,
every
this-
release, dungeon after dungeon. Where are the dragons? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I've been wondering.
It's really dragged on.
Nice.
Yeah, sorry, that joke was
We live in a
almost-
second-story room. I can throw you out a window.
know. Wow.
What do you
Onog,
mean?
really-
We're out in the woods. First is a trio of draconic race options presented as an alternative to the Dragonborn race in the player's handbook, as well as a fresh look at the Kobold race. Why would you want an alternative to Dragonborn? They're so good and well designed in the player's handbook.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yay.
I mean, if we want to talk about that now, we can.
We'll get to
We'll
it.
get there. We'll get there.
Dragonborn wizards, Thomas and Onog's favorite combination.
Look, it's not bad. It's just there are better things to be doing. But now, with the new race generation rules,
It is actually
that
better
big
now.
of an
Yeah,
issue.
that's just that's good to take into consideration. Then comes a handful of feat options that reflect a connection to draconic power. And finally, an assortment of spells, many of them bearing the names of famous or infamous dragons, offer a variety of approaches to manifesting dragon magic. So, the opening page of this document is mostly stuff that we've read before. It has a box text about this being playtest material, referencing that you can give feedback and that the options in this document may be of higher or lower power than official.
Right.
But that's, why they're asking for feedback and why they're presenting it. Some of them might be a little too well-tuned, too good, and some of them might be a little bit less powerful than desired. So, as we discuss the player race options, the feats, the spells, we'll be also looking to give a little bit of feedback on how we feel, if they're feeling balanced, if they're feeling a little too, like they're doing too much, too little, as we go through.
Get out
Then
your pen, Jeremy. Here we go.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, friend of the show, Jeremy Crawford. He's been on multiple times.
Can we get sued for saying that?
I don't think so.
It's weird. He's on the show, but he never says anything.
I know. You'd think we pay him to be on here. You'd think we'd make him say something. There's
Maybe
also
if we didn't keep him bound and gagged.
Oh gosh.
Participate more.
All right.
we've replaced him with a doppelganger at Wizards of the Coast who will do what we command.
Now this is slander.
Next is the creating your character section, which has been in the past few lineage options, player race options, which is based in the rules from Tasha's hideous laughing cauldron of all the stuff. And it talks about the new approach. We're not going to cover it all here, but to sum up, you can use your ability scores kind of wherever you want. Languages, kind of, you get common and you get another one. And they've been trying to play around a little bit more with creature type, but none of the ones, spoiler alert, today will do anything with creature type. They're all humanoids. So we won't have to worry about that part.
We will link to an episode that goes more in depth about that whole section if you are confused about what we're talking about.
Yes. A bit of an update to the system and the way of thinking and the design philosophy at Wizards of the Coast in regards to player race options going forward.
Yeah, so there will be a link to that in the description.
So let's get into the player race options. There are 3 in the document: Chromatic Dragonborn, Metallic Dragonborn, and Gem Dragonborn.
Very excited about that one.
Which is interesting, and we'll talk a bit about it later, but Gem Dragonborn aren't really in D&D right now in
Yeah,
5th
no.
edition.
Well,
so,
it is a thing that has been in
yes,
the past.
in the past, correct. But maybe a bit of a hint as there might be something coming up with some Gem Dragons. Chromatic Dragonborn. Dragonborn with chromatic ancestry claim the raw, elemental power of the chromatic dragons. The vibrant colors of the chromatics, black, blue, green, red, and white, gleam in their scaled skin and in the deadly energy of their breath weapons. Theirs is the raw, elemental fury of the volcano, of biting arctic winds, of raging lightning storms. Theirs also is the subtle whisper of swamp and forest, corrosive and toxic.
I love that is just Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I also love that it didn't say chromatic dragonborn are all evil, which is
Yes.
a good change of pace.
Growth.
It's a little bit of growth. It's kind of recharacterizing them as this sort of raw elemental power
Which is
that's not
more of this
necessarily confined.
untrained,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
unrefined,
feral,
na-
wild,
natural.
passionate.
It feels more like
know.
sorcerers and the flavor bear.
Yeah.
Sort of like
Yeah.
raw,
They sort of
wild
emerge
magic.
naturally from the earth's raw energy. And then, yeah, like you had said, being with like being feral and stuff, like the white dragons in D&D are the most like animalistic and predatory in nature, that they're the closest to just a very predatory big lizard. Whereas when we get into like metallic dragonborn, some of them are even like spellcasters and stuff,
Yeah.
like legendary ones of them, I
Yeah.
believe, can do some interesting, like or at least they have abilities that can replicate spells. And so these are much more focused on like their physical nature and their elemental connections. So chromatic dragonborn traits. You have the following racial traits. Creature type. You are a humanoid. Size. You're medium. Speed. Your walking speed's 30 feet. Chromatic ancestry. You trace your ancestry to a chromatic dragon, granting you a special magical affinity. Choose one type of dragon from the chromatic ancestry table. This determines the damage type for your other traits as shown in the table. So as they had mentioned in that flavor bit, there's black dragons have acid damage, blue dragons have lightning damage, green dragons have poison damage, red dragons have fire damage, and white dragons have cold damage.
This is really interesting too, because the normal dragonborn race in the player's handbook does not make a distinction between this dragonborn's lineage or ancestry, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they just have chromatic and metallic all slapped together in one table that you can pick from. But it'll be very interesting to see why they made this distinction.
Yeah, what differences they draw between. And there are some. They're trying to focus on representing the differences presented in the monster manual for chromatic and metallic dragons more
Like chromatic
directly.
dragonborns have more abilities that are akin to chromatic dragons, whereas metallic ones will have more that are akin to metallic.
So your breath weapon. So Dragonborn already have a breath weapon in 5th edition, but it is one of the most like underwhelming at mid to high tiers of play. It's one of those abilities that's really fun at level 1, and then at level 2 is immediately like significantly worse now.
Which becomes a real bummer because it's like
Yeah.
that's why you wanted to be a dragon.
You wanted to do your breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun after level 2. So this is such a underutilized ability that I had to, when I was looking it up on D&D Beyond, I had to do a double take and find the player's handbook and check the breath weapon because I did not, for the life of me, know that it scaled with your level.
Oh.
It increases in power. I thought it was just forever. It was 2d6 and that's it.
I thought, isn't it like plus your con mod or something?
I feel like it
No,
doesn't
so
scale
the
enough.
damage, so the save is your Constitution modifier.
Oh, okay, yep.
The damage is just 2d6.
Okay.
And then at 3rd level, it goes to 3d6 at 6th level, 4d6 at 11th level, and 5d6 at 16th level.
Okay.
So, and it recovers on a short or long rest.
It is still just kind of like, I'm a dragonborn and I got a real stanky burp sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it
it's
should feel a little OP, but be limited in its use.
How I've seen various Dragonborn use it when I've been playing with them is it's just kind of usually like a last ditch effort. Like it's not really something they use all that often especially because in the original player's handbook, Dragonborn got +2 to strength. They were more likely playing some kind of martial class.
Yeah.
Right.
And so as a result, them just attacking twice was more efficient. Them using their action to make attacks was always going to be more efficient damage-wise than them using their breath weapon.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Especially at higher levels just before, like at 5th level, you can either do 2d6 damage to maybe a couple of people because it is an area effect, but
Yeah.
or you could make 2 great sword attacks,
Yeah.
which are 2d6 plus your strength each.
yeah.
Interestingly enough, in the player's handbook, there's a distinction between when you choose your ancestry, you get either a line or a cone for the area effect. And that is continued in this document, but it's split up here. So the Chromatic Dragonborn's
split up
breath
by the
weapon
ancestry.
says, when you take the attack action, you can replace one of your attacks with an exhalation of a magical energy in a 30-foot line that is 5 feet wide. So it's always a line if you're a Chromatic Dragonborn.
And this is already automatically better because instead of taking an entire action to do this, it can replace one of your attacks. So it doesn't inherently punish
That is
martial
better.
classes.
So
That is
if you're
better.
doing a multi-attack, one of them can be this and the other can be a regular attack.
Oh, that's gonna
And
be
how
so
dope
much
is that?
more.
Like, like punch, fire, swing. Like
Yeah.
It's really
fits
good.
You stab someone with your greatsword and then turn to the other person and just release a line of fire at them.
That's really
That's
cool.
rad.
Yeah.
Each creature in the area must make a dexterity saving throw against a DC equal to 8 plus your constitution modifier plus your proficiency bonus.
Nice.
A creature takes 2d8 damage. Ooh, d8 instead, you say. Of the type.
See, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's just a tiny bit bigger.
It's
But
bumped it
it
up.
somehow makes it so much better.
It does. That's the funny thing. It's a small adjustment, but in early game, that will feel massive.
Oh yeah.
Early
And-
game, this is wiping the
Yeah.
enemy party.
Which is
Like-
sweet. But as we go on here, so of the type associated with your chromatic ancestry on a failed save, and half as much on a successful one. This damage increases by 1d8 when you reach 5th level, 11th level, and 17th level. So you get all the way up to 5d8 at 17th level. Pretty cool.
That's
So the exchanges, you get the 6th level damage boost at 5th level, and you get the 7th or 16th level damage boost at 17th level. So
Kind of, scoot some
a
one.
little give and take.
Yeah. You can use this trait, and this is, I think, personally the biggest point for me, a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
So once again, another thing that once was you can do it on a short or you can
Right.
recover it on a short or a long rest is now tied to your proficiency bonus.
That is an interesting pattern to be seeing.
I did. I saw an interesting discussion about that the other day that was regarding it as perhaps, and we don't know. Like we said, though we are deep, personal, close friends with Jeremy Crawford, he doesn't tell us much. So we don't know exactly where they're at.
He's very quiet.
Yeah, he's a quiet. He's really shy. With this design philosophy, but one theory I've seen put around is that it may be a response to the adventuring day as designed and the adventuring day as most players play it don't always line up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're supposed to have like 3 to 5 like major encounters a day.
Yeah, there's like
Whereas
a whole...
any campaign I've been a part of, we have
Yeah.
maybe 1 or 2.
Well, I've seen that all over TikTok where people are like, hey guys, so you know how you're having them fight these bad guys and people and blah, blah, blah. Just a reminder that they're supposed to be having like 4 encounters a day. Yeah. So
to like drain them of their resources so
that,
they
like,
can't just dunk on your
it's
final
like
boss.
all the DMs on TikTok are like, hey guys, none of us are playing it right, but why would we? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so when it was originally built to come back on a short rest, that had something in mind of when during the day you might think to do that, how often you'd have it per fight. This style means that at each kind of tier of play, you'll be gaining more and more uses, but you as a player have complete agency when
Over
during the
when
day
it
you
can
want to
be
burn
used.
all of them. Because it's like, I could use all of them at my, 17th level character, all 4 or 5 of them, however many I have at 17th level, whatever my proficiency bonus is, in a single battle.
That's a lot.
And that's, if I really want to, though, I can do it. Or I can
Yeah.
spread them out throughout the day and use them only when I need
That
them.
is so funny. Now that I think about it, I have literally, when explaining a character to somebody else, just because of the nature of our particular group, how many encounters we usually have per day, I'm like, oh, well, that comes back on a short rest, so you'll have it for, like, every encounter. Because
Yeah.
we only
We were
have, like,
short-
2
because
in a day.
the moment you take an encounter, you take a nice little nap.
Yeah.
So I think, personally, this is a really... I mean, it's a big buff to the breath weapon, but I really like it. I think it makes the breath weapon much more viable as a choice. I get that some people might say it's a little overtuned, perhaps, because especially at those higher levels, you can just dump a lot of damage, especially if you can, like, on multiple turns in a row, just breath weapon attack, while still doing your multi-attacks, while still doing your bonus actions. Like, that is a lot going on.
I think of
Yeah.
everything here, the one thing that I would not want to see go, if they rework this at all, if they decide it's overtuned and have to pull back somewhere, what I would not want to see go is just that first line that when you take the attack action, you can replace one of your attacks.
agree.
Oh yeah.
I think
that's the biggest thing
is
that makes
huge.
this viable.
Absolutely.
Like even if they 100% revert everything else back to how it originally was,
Keep that.
you can replace one of your attacks with it is the most important part.
Jeremy, keep that.
Look at me, Jeremy. I know you're right there.
So once again, like, because this is kind of a thing that you're like doing as part of your biology,
Yeah.
I would kind of have preferred, instead of it scaling off your proficiency bonus, that it like scaled off of your constitution modifier or like your charisma modifier. But because of the design choices away from trying to like steer, at least from the racial point of view, like
Right.
character
Modifiers.
building,
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I get what
like
you're saying.
it makes a lot of sense that it's tied to proficiency bonus.
So that if
But
you're a
it
wizard,
does
it's
feel
not tied
kind
to
of
your
weird that it's
constitution
just
or
like,
strength.
I am becoming
Yeah.
more skilled in general. That means I can shoot my fireball more times.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
I think
it feels a little weird. I don't
as
know.
you,
I
as you
agree.
grow and get
But-
older,
but-
you get better at
Yeah.
the things you do.
Which, like, you could argue for, like, giving somebody, like, scaling it off of the Constitution modifier or something like that. But that means you have to be dumping, like,
Yeah.
stats
It
into
means you have
Constitution.
to choose to upgrade
You have to be
Yeah.
doing that on purpose. And that might limit players in their character design.
There's always a push and pull with like verisimilitude and like functionality within the
Yeah.
play space of the mechanics of the game. And where it's not necessarily always there with verisimilitude, like making it feel natural and real and normal to have more of them the higher level you go, because like why does that matter? It feels better at higher tiers of play to do it more often. So you kind of
Yeah.
have to weigh those against each other. Does it make sense that I've suddenly grown larger breath weapon sacks at level 20? Not necessarily.
Weapon sacks.
But
Thanks.
does it
When
feel good as a
when
player to,
Draconic-
as a higher level character, do
Yeah.
the things I like doing more often? Yeah, it does. So
Yeah.
And like those kinds of things makes more sense as like part of your subclass, where it's like, yeah, as a paladin, you can scale things off of their charisma because they're supposed to be putting their stats in charisma anyways.
Yeah. We want to be rewarding
They
that.
decided to be a paladin. They're going to be charismatic, or they're going to not be as good at these things.
Definitely.
One thing that I will be curious to see, I would be curious to know in playtesting, do Dragonborn players end up using it their full number of times at higher levels because it's stronger now, or is it still not enough stronger? Is it now OP? I'm curious how it balances.
Even if I didn't have a reason to, I'd find a way to use it. It's like
Just
I'm
'cause
going
it's
to
such good
bed
flavor.
anyway. I shoot off a couple of fireballs. Why not?
That's
I
fair,
start the
yeah.
campfire. Boom.
I just go out and I go skeet shooting. I'm like, throw a dish for me, and I'll shoot it with my lightning blast.
Because I always
Poor
think
green dragons don't have cool breath weapons. Like
They're poison
fire
breath.
and lightning. They're just like, I make a poison.
They're
and everyone's
vape
like, can you?
lords, though. Have you considered that? They
Check
got
out
that
these
cotton-
mad cotton,
mad
bro.
clouds, bro.
These thick clouds, and everyone's like, "Can you keep your thick poisonous clouds away?"
Now I
please?"
want to play a green dragon
that's
board that
pretty
is
good.
just
He's
all
a,
about that vape life.
he's a green dragonborn,
Oh,
as in
bro.
a ganja
You
dragon.
get it. You get it.
The green
Draconic-
is for ganja,
Please
and everyone's
let him
like, "That doesn't
continue.
make any sense."
Please let him continue.
Draconic resistance. You have resistance to the damage type associated with your chromatic ancestry.
Sure.
Makes sense.
That's fine. But here, chromatic warding. Starting at 3rd level, as an action, you can channel your draconic energy to protect yourself. For 10 minutes, you become immune to the damage type associated with your chromatic ancestry. Once you use this trait, you can't do so again till you finish a long rest. Immune.
Okay.
That's the good stuff
For
right
10
there.
That's so
Yeah,
long.
For 10 minutes, a
time.
red dragonborn can go swimming in lava.
Is that too much? That seems too much to
I
me.
mean, 10 minutes
Honestly,
isn't really that big of a deal.
I don't
10
know.
minutes is just
No.
what 10 minutes means is
Have you
for
ever
this
run
next
a combat that has lasted?
No, that's what I'm
10?
saying.
Yeah.
10 minutes just means it will last for this next combat encounter.
Well, like you
Guaranteed.
said, you can
and then a couple
swim in
minutes on either
lava.
side. Yeah.
So, get swimming.
That just seems
I
very
like
OP.
10
You better
minutes
you
because
better
here's
hope
thing
the thing
being,
is 10 minutes away.
If you say it's 1 minute, that means you just have to like activate it for combat. If you say it's 10 minutes, you can use it for other
for
non-combat
utility things
exploration.
outside.
Yeah, you
That's a
can
good
use
point.
it to go retrieve something. You can use it to go rescue someone. But if it's 1 minute, that's really just combat.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
the idea of the red chromatic dragonborn shaking his scales all up and charging up to run into a burning building and go get people out of it. Like that's so cool. Like that's such
I
a
love
good
it,
image.
Fighter
yeah.
dragon people.
Yeah. I mean, I'm imagining a blue dragonborn like with an epic duel at a mountaintop where a thunderstorm is raging all around them, and part of their rite of passage or something is surviving
A lightning strike.
a lightning strike while wearing all
a
metal or
direct-
Oh
something
no,
like
dude.
that.
Okay, you're a blue dragon person, and you lure someone to the top of a mountain to fight, and then they pull out. You pull out your big sword, swing, and then the other person pulls it out, and they're immediately struck by lightning because it's like a freaking lightning rod.
Yeah, and you're like, haha,
and you're
I
like,
got you.
haha, I'm fine.
I could see a really cool, if you know you can be immune for 10 minutes, you could set up, a lightning storm's coming in, like a storm's blowing in on the coast before, and you've got a showdown coming in later. Like you're setting up for the final battle with your personal rival. You go put a bunch of metal poles in the beach, and you're like, this is the battleground we will fight upon. And then as the lightning starts shooting down, it's like arcing between the poles, and you've set up like a whole...
You just make a
like,
lightning
boss
this
arena. Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's
You're like
sick.
fighting in a Tesla field.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, that'd be so amazing.
But see, and that's the thing is like this is how you know this is good design, because we just got so excited
Yeah,
about
yeah.
all the different things we could have our characters
but-
doing.
Is it maybe a little strong for first level?
Yes.
No, it's
Well,
a third
it's
level.
third level. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. It is third
okay.
level.
I will
Third
say
level.
that it is one of those things where with this version of like the Dragonborn race, you are getting so much more out of it than the person who like picked human or whatever. Like
That's
you
what
are
I'm
getting
thinking.
so much more,
That's
which
what I'm thinking,
is
like-
fine with me. You just then have to balance everything else out with that.
Yeah. I mean,
I guess I'm just what I'm hoping is that as more
That's kind of how I viewed standard humans,
Well,
anyways, in
what
the
I'm
beginning.
what I'm thinking is though, as you're releasing more of these races, that hopefully what they're just planning on doing is that each race has a super dope thing that they get to do. and that is what
That's
So
true.
this is for the chromatic dragonborn
If they're going back
people.
through and kind of retouching all the races up.
Yeah,
I also
that
think
maybe we
it's-
see a variant human that has some
cool
kind
stuff.
of really
Yeah.
cool thing.
That's very true.
I also think they're doing a good job of addressing when they very first sort of announced that we're going to be changing the way we're doing races now, and a bunch of people got angsty about like, oh no, but like now picking my race doesn't mean anything and it doesn't even do that much. But they're also reworking all the races so that they do a lot
So that
and
they-
mean a
it
lot.
does mean
it just
something,
doesn't
yeah.
mean you get +2 to your strength. And compared
Yeah.
to this, that doesn't even sound interesting anymore. Like,
Yeah.
Well, and to be honest, so that was a thing we had talked about in the beginning, and we were trying to be careful about saying like it is a very valid play style for people to sort of want to play with all the stats and all
Yeah,
of the
of
things,
course.
and it can feel like maybe they've taken away one of your blocks, one of your toys, but to sit here and go, okay, this is a more creative way of like, okay, I now have a thing that allows me to be immune to a whole type of damage. What would that best go with? Do I want to be the type of berserker barbarian that can just run into anything? You're like,
yeah, what does this pair interestingly with?
Yeah,
what is this
definitely.
or can I become like a storm sorcerer, but I'm also a blue dragonborn?
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
This
that's
makes
very
it so
good.
interesting.
so.
Yeah.
There's all
This-
kinds
Tempest
of ways
cleric.
to
It
pair
lets
that.
you min-max more. It gives you way more freedom. It really does.
I mean, that's why I'm so into this.
Yeah.
Because part of the problem is with Dragonborns inherently. Like when 5th edition came out, people were not impressed with Dragonborn, not just because of their breath weapon, but because of
They
their
didn't have tails.
because of their ability score increase, and they didn't have tails, which is dumb.
Yeah.
But,
They have tails.
But where
Tieflings are purple
where
and Dragonborn
they
have
were
tails.
getting +2 to strength. Yeah, they were getting +2 to strength and +1 to charisma. So unless you were like a paladin, one of your stat boosts was kind of going to waste because
Yeah.
either
Split
you
you
were
between martial and cast.
because it split you between martial and a spellcaster. Because if you wanted to really make use of that charisma, you went sorcerer, but then your strength was being wasted. If you really wanted to make use of the strength, you either went paladin, where everything was being like the only dragonborns I've really ever interacted with all went paladin because it was the most efficient use of their stats. So with this removal of that, now the main problem with dragonborns is gone. I can comfortably make a dragonborn draconic sorcerer.
Vape Lord sorcerer.
Vape Lord sorcerer, yeah, where he, where
You can make a
and now there's
Dragonborn weed cleric.
you can make a dragonborn weed cleric. Where their stats can be properly allocated where you think that they should be best.
Metallic Dragonborn. Dragonborn with metallic ancestry lay claim to the unflinching tenacity of the metallic dragons. Brass, bronze, copper, gold, and silver, whose hues glint in their scales. Theirs is the fire of hearth and forge, the cold of high mountain air, the spark of inspiration, and the scouring touch of acid that cleanses and purifies. I mean, they're all the same damage types, but we're saying them
Yeah.
in a different way.
They have 2 fires instead.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I mean, I
only
guess it
Chromatic
doesn't
has
make-
access to poison.
Unless you were like a sulfur dragon, it wouldn't make sense to have
that'd
like
be kinda rad.
poisonous.
That'd be
Brass
super
poison.
rad.
Huh.
That is weird to me.
Because brass is fire. Because
It's gotta make sense
lore
with the-
reasons.
It's gotta make sense with the type of metal.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it.
Oh, a lead dragon could be poisonous.
Ooh, that'd be
true.
rad.
That's true.
That'd be
Or
super
a
rad.
uranium dragon.
Oh, no, that'd be radiant.
Oh, that's true.
Radioactive dragons
That'd
do
be sick.
radiant damage.
Creature
Okay,
type.
keep going.
You're a humanoid. Size, you're medium. Speed, your walking speed is 30 feet. Metallic ancestry. You trace your ancestry to a metallic dragon, granting you a special magical affinity. Choose one type of dragon from the metallic ancestry table. This determines the damage type for your other traits as shown on the table. And as Onag said, it's all the same ones except fire twice instead of poison.
Which has always been the case. I do
Yeah.
find it interesting that none of these, kind of like in the previous Unearthed Arcanas we've been getting, they've been saying like you can be medium or small. None of these have medium or small. They just say you are medium.
Yeah,
Because
that's
you're
true.
dragonborn.
No, I know, but like
Probably
the same
because they're,
thing.
they're also doing kobolds, so that's kind of your
Yeah.
That's your small
That's your
dragon
small
option.
Which we will get to, yeah. I'm
What if-
interested. I thought they might throw in a you are humanoid and draconic, but they did not.
Yeah.
And I was interested to see if
What
they
was
would
it?
go that
Was
far.
it your which one are you?
Humanoid.
You're just humanoid.
I know I'm backtracking here real quick. What if gold was radiant instead of fire?
That'd be fun.
That'd be
rad.
fun.
Because that makes sense
That
for
could
the
work.
flavor of gold.
Swap out the
Yeah.
poison.
But either way, that's all
Yeah.
different D&D lore. Yeah.
Breath weapon. When you take the attack action, you can replace one of your attacks with an exhalation of magical energy in a 15-foot cone.
These ones are cones.
So these are the cone ones.
These are cones. Okay.
Which is an interesting difference that they just went all metallic of cones and all.
I
This-
think
hold
is
on.
that not
this
the
doesn't
case
make sense.
already?
This doesn't
No,
make
it-
sense.
Okay, you
No,
go.
it's just rods and cones. Chromatic, like that makes sense for it to be a cone because
Okay.
it's colors.
Oh come on!
And
Okay.
metal comes in rods, like a brass rod,
All right.
which is a line.
All right. Well, back to what I was
What?
saying. So in the player's handbook, it is not separated by that. It's separated black, blue, brass, bronze, and copper all fire in 30-foot lines. It's not rods.
Just
It's
kind of
line.
But a rod
arbitrary.
is a line.
Shush.
You're a
and-
rod.
Gold, green, red, silver, and white fire in cones.
Interesting.
Because that makes sense because
So
of
like
rods and
all
cones.
all the cold I almost said all the cold Pokemon, all the cold dragons fire in a 15-foot cone. Two of the fire ones fire in a cone, and one of the fires in a line.
so
All of the lightning is lines, all of the acid is lines, and the poison is a cone. So there is
Interesting.
like some variation on a theme, but it's more aligned with damage type than your origin type.
Fair
so it's
enough.
interesting that they changed it. I wonder what a lightning cone looks like as
yeah,
opposed to a
that
line.
one's a little funky.
well,
I
it's
mean,
just
if you
like
imagine
when
it
it
just
arcs
arcing
out.
around, though,
It's like
it
a
just
shotgun.
covers the different
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
distance.
Yeah.
Instead of a
Like,
single bolt.
You know, when you think of like electricity's
Very
going through
Godzilla.
thing, and it's like
Yeah.
forking
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Each creature in the area must make a dexterity saving throw against a DC equal to 8 plus your constitution modifier plus your proficiency bonus. A creature takes 2d8 damage of the type associated with your metallic ancestry on a failed save and half as much damage on a successful one. This damage increases by 1d8 when you reach 5th level, 11th level, 17th level. All the same. You can use this trait a number of times, equal to your proficiency bonus, and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest, all the same. So all the stuff we said about the chromatic is also true here. It's a good buff, it's strong, it
Yeah.
changes a little bit about where you get at certain levels, but overall,
It means you'll actually use
you'll
it.
use it a lot.
Yeah, however, it is very interesting to note that because they've tied it to a cone, that means it's more of an area effect rather than a long range attack that you can
True.
use.
Definitely, yeah. It's much,
It has
it's
its
much
bad-
more
you know-
useful. I mean, it's 15 feet as well, so it's
Yeah.
short range.
It is ranger, but yeah.
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 Draconic resistance, you have resistance to the damage type associated to your metallic ancestry, and metallic breath weapon. Huh? Breath weapon.
Ooh, double
But
breath
we just
weapon
did the
power.
breath weapon. At 3rd level, you gain a second breath weapon.
Whoa.
You gain a second sack.
Gross.
Stop.
You're the one that says that.
When you take the attack action, you can replace one of your attacks with an exhalation of a magical gas in
Okay,
a
that's weird,
15-foot
but continue.
cone. What I find interesting is you can, I believe, stack these. You could do the breath weapon and then the metallic breath weapon in
Yeah.
the same multi-attack.
In the same
yeah.
attack action.
If you have 2 attacks, yeah.
You have to drink a lot of soda before the fight, though, to really
yeah,
get those
to
burps
really get that
charged.
going. You do not want to take any kind of like gas X or anything. That'll ruin it.
Nah,
Nerves you
nah,
so
nah.
hard.
Yeah, it's a real nerf. Yeah.
You're
The
like,
save-
I took Beano before the fight. I got no juice.
Useless.
The save DC for this breath is 8 plus your constitution modifier plus your proficiency bonus. When you use this ability, choose 1. So one of these 2 options. So even though it's a second breath weapon, it also is a modular
minute.
option based. You have 2 versions.
So it's
of it.
options.
Options all the way down. Each creature in the area must succeed on a strength saving throw, or be pushed 20 feet away from you and be knocked prone.
So this
Don't
is
know
like
how gas
this
does
is like
that,
a,
but-
this is like Fusroda, though.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah,
I don't know
Dragonborn
how
shot.
I don't know how a exhalation of magical gas can push
It's-
someone back.
it's
But
I know how gas can push you 50 feet. I don't know what that means. Interesting though, it is a pretty strong non-bow with your 15-foot cone breath weapon.
Yeah.
yeah, it knocks them away, and then you can't breath weapon attack them.
If you
You
do
wanna
it the
do it the
other way around, yeah,
yeah.
you want to do
Yeah.
the other one
So,
first.
I mean, what I hate about this, I mean, I love it actually, but what I hate is because the next one is each creature in the area must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or become incapacitated. This is like a Pumbaa ability.
Kind
like, you
of,
are
yes.
just like farting.
Incapacitated until the start of your next turn. Yeah, so just
So it is. This is clearly a reference to the fact that like all the metallic dragons in their stat blocks always have a second breath weapon
Yes.
that gives
Yeah.
them
Well,
various abilities.
So
like this.
on it being a gas, this is very interesting. So in a lot of the lore about dragons, one of the things that people have often claimed is that, you know, it's often depending on the lore that you're talking about, dragons will often eat whatever precious metal that they are associated with. And both in lore and also like scientists getting together and trying to decide like, okay, if dragons
How could a dragon?
yeah, if dragons
fly?
existed, what would they look like? It has often been said that like dragons eat metal and that metal will react with chemicals in their stomach within them to create not only their breath weapons but also like gas within them which helps them fly. And that's
gives them buoyancy.
lighter than
That's-
air gas. Yeah.
yeah, like helium pockets
So
basically.
they just look
And
like
so-
big old blimps.
Which means every dragon would talk to you in a high squeaky voice.
Oh.
Yes.
None of this Smaug stuff. He would be like,
None of the-
I am death.
No. For the size of his vocal cords, that is his high squeaky voice.
Oh no.
Normally, if they're breathing regular oxygen, you can't even hear
He
their
sounds
voice
like the
'cause it's that
Inception
low.
theme.
I feel like you could keep it the same mechanically, but I think I would prefer this for flavor. It would feel less like a Pumbaa attack.
If it wasn't about gas.
It will,
Yeah.
if it was, even if you just changed the wording, even if you kept it as a gas, if instead of just saying they become incapacitated, if it was like they become mesmerized, like if it felt more like a magical cloud of like
Yeah.
golden mist that
Sure.
that affected them, instead of just like you burped on them really hard, like
And they got knocked down.
yeah, like
What
that
if-
doesn't feel very
Well,
like
there's-
magical.
There is one real quick. We have to finish it just so we
Yeah,
all
yeah.
are on the same page. Once you use your metallic breath weapon, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest.
So just the
It's
one.
just
Just
once.
the once.
All right.
What
Just
if
the ones.
they mentioned that you have sparkly scales with the metal?
Yeah.
Metal. What if it was like a shining thing? You know, like something about how shiny and
what
metallic
if they
you
called
are.
it like a glittering mist instead of a cloud of gas? Like just anything.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would just, I don't mind the gas being just sleep gas that knocks people out.
Yeah.
It's the pushing that doesn't make any sense to me. I would just make it like a wall of force if you choose to do that
Like,
instead.
feel more like a Fusra Da. Don't get a
It
gas.
is a little bit of a non-bow if you're not moving with the pushing them 20 feet. However, because you have an area of effect weapon, this actually gives you a little bit of area control where you can push people into spots where now your breath weapon will be more effective when you close
that's
close
That's actually
range.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can make everybody kind of like
Huddle up, buddies.
huddle up into a smaller group and then unleash the breath
Yeah,
weapon.
because I think I
That's
would
true.
really like this if the first one that pushes them away was just flavored more like a wall of force, and if the second one was flavored more as like a magical mist
Like a glamour.
that like a glamour. Yeah, I think
Or-
literally that would do
It's
it for
just
me.
yeah, we're just kind of getting hung up on
Kind
the
of
it's
riffing
gas.
on the burp.
But the thing is, I feel like everyone's gonna get hung up on that though.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Right,
think
right.
that's just us.
Well,
That's
because they
fair.
don't have more of a description than that. They don't explain it. And so because of it, your brain, we're like, we have one idea of what gas is already in our
The
heads.
only gas
and
that comes
that's-
out of our mouth is gross.
Look,
It's
gas,
too easy. Yeah.
gas will fill whatever space is in the container, and they've left a space for us. And farts are filling that space, because that's
Yeah.
what we know.
Yeah, you're right.
You know? And so
that may be the
maybe-
most insane thing you've ever said. Let's move on.
I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
I could.
But
follow
either way,
that.
a cool addition, a cool
Yeah.
utility thing that they get access to.
It is
I mean-
very different from becoming immune to a damage for 10 minutes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
The
yeah,
ability
yeah.
is not bad. Like, it's
Yeah.
not a bad ability, just flavor it differently.
Putting a huge group of people down for a round,
That's big.
that can if everybody
huge.
fails their save, that's the end of combat right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Like
I feel
if
like-
especially if your team is built in such a way that they can utilize and take the opportunity.
Yeah.
Everybody else just died.
I mean,
The difference between this and the immunity ability is a strong enough difference to make it feel like it is meaningful which one you choose beyond just flavor.
Right.
Like
I
it'll
agree.
affect your play style a lot.
very much
Yeah.
so. I also agree. And I think it makes you a bit more of a battlefield control, effect-based, area of effect oriented.
Versus like a tank.
Whereas, yeah, the chromatic one is like a damage-dealing tank who's gonna, like, you're fighting a fire elemental, you win that fight. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, it almost makes sense for this to be a wizard because people are getting too close to you, and you can be like, actually, I need you to stay
Actually,
back,
can you
please. I am
back
very
off?"
squishy.
And I need you in an area of effect because wizards do
Which
a lot of that.
makes sense with metallic dragons being a bit more magically aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I like
Good
it so
stuff, good
far,
stuff.
folks. It's looking cool.
Yeah.
So, Gem Dragonborn.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
So, Gem Dragonborn, let's start off talking a little bit. So, the most recent time I can see that they were in D&D was in 3rd edition. In Monster
while ago.
Manual 2.
Oh, they
from
never even
D&D
made it into
3rd
4th?
edition.
Jeez.
I haven't seen any in 4th. I only see references to them in 3rd. Though,
Were they in 3.5?
That's what 3 is.
yeah,
Well,
it's all
look,
kind
I
of the
can't
same.
count.
3.5 is after 3. It's the same as 3. It's
That's
just
too many.
more
So,
of 3.
It's
It's
just
too many
0.5 more than 3. So, Sapphire,
Yeah, so it's not really...
Sapphire Dragon is actually a single monster stat block that was sold as part of a fundraiser for the charity organization Extra Life, and you can buy that to support that charity for like $2, and it is a 5th edition stat block.
Oh, so it was something they did recently.
Okay.
It's also the only other time dragons have been in the game.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah,
other
yeah.
Yeah,
dragons.
the
in the game.
only other time.
But
No other dragons.
it is the only gem dragon in 5th edition, which is very
Currently.
interesting. It's a charity based dragon you can unlock by donating.
Well, I think the same thing was
Good
true about
cause.
turtles at first.
Yeah.
Like the turtle player race was something that was something you could buy as part. I think it was also a different Extra Life fundraiser, where you just bought the stat block and like little.
I think it ended
blip.
up getting put as like a pre-order bonus on something.
Yeah,
else.
or yeah, it was a pre-order bonus. That's what it
Yeah.
was, I think. But then they got added to a bunch of different books.
Yeah. And so Gem Dragonborn haven't appeared in 5th edition, so you might not be familiar with them, listener, if you only play 5th edition. Like us, we don't really play older editions. Onog played some older editions, but the rest of us pretty much jumped into 5th edition.
Yep.
So Gem Dragonborn, their whole bit is that they're psychic dragons.
Because of
Oh,
crystal
that's why they're not in
skulls and
5th
stuff.
edition.
Yes, that's why they're not in 5th edition, Onog. Exactly, there's not really
Yeah.
psionics
We're not
in 5th
doing
edition.
psychic stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense because for many people in fantasy settings and in real life, there are many people for whom gems and gemstones have like energy to them.
Like a
Yeah.
resonance.
Definitely.
Yeah,
energy
and
or
so
something.
that
There's
that
like a-
checks out.
The resonance of like mental energy and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff is
for
where
sure.
it kind of
It's
builds from.
associated with that,
Yeah.
yeah.
But as we haven't had any in 5th edition, really, a lot of this lore kind of comes out of left field, and you're like, who? From where? They did what? But let's read this here.
Who is she?
Who is she? Dragonborn with gem ancestry partake of the heritage of all gem dragons, who claim to be heirs of the ruby dragon, Sardior, the firstborn of all creation.
I do like the
We're
note.
getting lofty.
I do like the note that they claim to be the heirs.
Made
There's no
by-
evidence to support this.
I mean, one thing that is fun that they're all from ruby dragons is because many gems, as we know them today, are actually just different colors of rubies.
That's true. That is true.
We call them something else, and so
But they
that's
even though it's
Simply
just rubies, but
yeah.
it's
Sapphires are just blue rubies.
The firstborn of
feel
all
offended.
creation, made by Bahamut and Tiamat in the first days of the first world. The colors and mysterious powers of the gem dragons, amethyst, crystal, emerald, sapphire, and topaz, gleam in their scaled skin and course through their veins. Theirs are the wonders of the mind, the force of will, the brilliant light of insight, the resounding echo of discovery, and the desiccation of despair.
So this is some like sort of Steven Universe dragons.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
I
Gem
haven't seen
Dragonborn.
Steven Universe. I just know those
that there are
words.
gems.
There's the crystal gems in it. Creature type, you are a humanoid. Size, you are medium. Speed, your walking speed is 30 feet. Imagine if it was just like 70 or something. Imagine if just in one of these, without really mentioning it, they're like, oh, also your walking speed, 59.3 feet. You're like, what?
Why?
You could just book it.
Don't do that. Gem ancestry. You trace your ancestry to a gem dragon, granting you a special magical affinity. Choose one type of dragon from the gem ancestry table. This determines the damage type for your other traits as shown on the table.
So you'll
Ooh.
trace your ancestry to a gem dragon, but most likely you will claim that it is the gem.
The ruby dragon Sardior, firstborn of all creation.
It's
Yes,
like
correct.
all Scottish people, including my family, believing that, like, yes, we're from Wallace, like William Wallace.
We're directly descended from King Duncan. It's like I can't explain. I don't have enough time to explain to you how impossible that is for that to
Yeah.
have happened.
So these, you might notice, are very different damage types.
Very
Amethyst
different damage
is
types.
force damage. Crystal is radiant damage, emerald is psychic damage, sapphire is thunder damage, and topaz is necrotic damage. These are like the arcane damage types, not the elemental damage
That's
types.
interesting.
So
That's
that's
cool.
pretty
Tasty.
wild. Breath weapon. When you take the attack action, you can replace one of your attacks with an exhalation of magical energy in a 15-foot cone. Cones
Got
again.
the cone.
Which of course makes sense because the cones and the colors and the rods.
Right. That makes sense.
Each
Because
creature.
gems are round and your eyes are round and they have cones.
Exactly.
I hate this.
Each creature in the area must make a dexterity saving throw against a DC equal to 8 plus your constitution modifier plus your proficiency bonus. Creature takes 2d8 damage from the type associated. Okay, we can kind of skip. It's the same. You get the proficiency bonus. You get the upgrades at the different
You
levels.
get the resistance.
That's all the same. Yeah. Then, Draconic resistance. You have resistance to the damage type associated with your gem ancestry. And before we move on to the next ones, let's talk about a 15-foot cone of force damage is pretty wild.
There's literally only like 2 creatures in the at least in the monster manual. I don't know if the stats have changed with the new releases after that. There are only 2 creatures in the monster manual that are resistant to force damage at all, and they are immune to it.
So
It's just because they're so dense.
For that reason.
I had a really
but-
interesting idea, Onog. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am a necromancy wizard gem dragonborn. I
Cool.
summon my army of skeletons, and then I... Oh, wait.
And you nuke the
I
area
am
with
a
necrotic
topaz,
damage.
Right,
a topaz
right.
dragon.
I see.
I hit them all with necrotic energy, thus healing them that amount of damage.
Wait, do they heal off necrotic?
Some of them do, don't
Do
they?
normal
Some
skeletons?
undead. Which undead do? I know some
I
of
know
them.
that is a thing.
Essentially, you have an undead army that heals off necrotic
Yeah, and
damage.
you can
Whatever
just
it is, it's that one.
Whatever, pick it. I don't. I'm homebrewing this. I'm making a monster that heals on necrotic damage. That's pretty
that's
sweet.
kind of like
I
my
That's
in
really cool.
my
That's
Innistrad
awesome.
campaign I'm running right now. I pitted my party against a Frankenstein's monster and Frankenstein, who was a wizard who knew lightning bolt.
Makes sense.
That was really fun.
I don't mean to be that guy, but it is pronounced Frankenstein. Let's
Sorry,
You do mean to
Frankenstein.
be that
I
guy.
do.
Don't even pretend.
Psionic
Sorry,
mind.
Frankenstein's monster's monster.
Fine.
It's not Mr. Frankenstein. It's Monster
jeez.
Frankenstein.
Monster Frankenstein.
Psionic mind. You can telepathically speak to any creature you can see within 30 feet of you.
Oh my
Nice.
gosh.
You don't
Nice.
need to share a language with the creature, but the creature must be able to understand at least one language.
Okay.
Your communication doesn't give the creature the ability to respond to you telepathically.
that would be so
Thanks for
useful.
clearing that up. Sometimes you don't clear that up, Wizards of the Coast, and I have
Yes.
questions.
Well, so I think the reason they are wording it like this is because in previous abilities they have said it is not you can telepathically speak to any creature. They say the words you can telepathically communicate with any
Yeah.
creature,
Which-
which communication can be interpreted as a two-way street.
Yeah.
And they don't give the clarification that it only works one way. So things like old one warlocks gain an ability that says you can communicate, and there's no stipulation on whether or not the person can talk back.
Yeah.
So I think people have. I think Jeremy Crawford has been officially said that, like, no, it was intended to only be one-way
Well,
communication.
Let's ask him, Jeremy. Do you have any
No,
comments
he's not
on
going
that?
to talk to us.
Yeah, he doesn't talk.
No, he's too shy.
But and so ever since they've been getting that, those questions on Twitter and stuff like that, they have been very specific to clarify when and if something can
do
communicate
appreciate.
back to you.
Yes.
Another thing I want to add to this really quickly, for anyone who read the Aragon books, this is very much feeling like a lot.
Oh
of,
yeah, because the dragons can communicate with their riders, can't they?
Yes, they can telepathically. And like in the book, the first time it happens to him, the dragon looks at him and he just hears his name in his head and he like freaks out and he runs out because he doesn't know how to talk back to her yet.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious and her name is Saphira. She's like a sapphire.
Yeah.
It doesn't say she's a sapphire dragon, but she's like
But
a blue
yeah.
dragon with
Well, but she
psychic
has
powers named
eyes, and in
Saphira.
the eyes there are like rods and cones.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
it makes sense.
It makes
Yeah.
sense.
See, they're making fun of you, but why am I getting hurt?
Because they're making fun of me by empowering me, and I'm choosing to
Enabling
be
it,
happy.
Yes.
perhaps.
I'm choosing to take it happily. Anyway, but what I'm getting at is I'm curious if they were taking whether they realized it or not, inspiration from those books, or if those
More
books
likely
are
than not.
pulling inspiration from legends of gem dragons that already exist, and I am ashamed that I don't know that off the top of my head.
I think 3rd edition came out before the Aragon series was published.
Okay.
Definitely,
I think
yeah.
that's true. And I don't know if it would be like directly inspired by it as opposed to just sort of inspired by the same
general,
ideas
yeah.
of
And that's what I'm
gems,
saying.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm not saying that they're ripping off the Aragon books, but just being like, hey, here is already a thing about dragons, and like with vampires or zombies or dragons, once something gets established in the lore of that creature, it
kinda
just
sticks around.
leaks into
Definitely.
our understanding of those creatures.
So,
Now, that being said, a one-way form of telepathic communication, while can be useful in utility situations, not really
Not
altogether
great,
helpful.
Also kind of
not
terrifying.
great. But that's
A little-
why
I mean,
they get a
one of,
secondary ability.
one of my characters is a ghostwise halfling, which also gained the ability to communicate to people psychically, and I just have her use it to annoy people.
Yeah.
She
Like,
literally starts singing songs in other people's heads.
There's some like utility to being able to like secretly convey information in like a situation where you don't want everyone to know it.
Yeah,
That kind of
it's
stuff.
really good but limited.
For stealthing, it can be useful, but it is very limited, and that's why they're given a secondary ability to support that, which is very interesting. Gem Flight. Starting at 3rd level, you can use your bonus action to temporarily summon an array of spectral gems that match your gem ancestry in the shape of wings that last for 1 minute. For the duration,
okay.
you gain a flying speed equal to your walking speed and can hover. Once you use this trait, you can't do so again till you finish a long rest.
Okay, I just have 2 comments. This is a very cool ability, and these are dumb comments for me to make. 1, gems are not an incredibly aerodynamic material. So to have
spectral.
them, but to have them be wings, and then to say you have wings so that you can hover, it just bothers me on a level that I know that it shouldn't.
It's like,
the
I have wings
resonance-
and now I can float. And it's
like-
like, wait, no, but you have wings.
It's like, and it's, but then
It's because of the
Bean,
resonance of the
Bean,
crystals.
I feel like you've gotten into dragons too deep, where now you've like become that person where you're like, scientifically, that's literally not even how dragon wings work, and we're like, Bean. Is there a dragon in
Bean
the room
has
with
been
us
that
now?
person for a
Can
very
you
long
point to
time.
the dragon?
I'm actually I'm gonna throw this out there. Anyone who gets into dragons becomes that person automatically.
know.
The amount of gatekeeping that I
That's
had
why.
to deal with as that character was astonishing. And also, I don't know what it is, but people who become obsessed about dragons just turn into a certain kind of person, and it is unavoidable.
Fair enough.
That's why I only get into dungeons. All right, that's the gem dragon or ampersands. That's the gem dragonborn. Overall,
Dungeons and.
how are we feeling? How are we feeling about these draconic races? Mercy, what are your thoughts?
I really like how distinct they all are from each other, but they do feel like a cohesive group. It makes sense that they're all part of the same document. They feel like they were conceptualized together, but they feel distinct enough that you will have a very different play style depending on which one you choose. And I like that a lot.
It feels very much like the divine people.
Asimov.
Asimars?
Asimar, yeah. It feels very much like the different Asimar
Yeah.
sub-races, where it's like they are all very clearly part of the same family, but they have their own unique twists on
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
very cool.
I really hope that this is the direction that we keep going with how D&D is designing races, and I think that this is, if I were to actually show someone a sheet, if someone was like, I'm going to be designing a race, this is probably a sheet that I would show them as a way of saying, this is a really good example of a good race that has good abilities, and you should use this as inspiration for how you should create your own.
I feel like they're definitely very strong. Like there's a lot going on in here, but I'm not against it. I like that.
I feel like all of us are more on the side of like, make everybody OP. Like,
Yeah.
it's more interesting. Give everyone cool stuff they can do.
I mean,
Yeah, it's a specific play style to be.
Volo's
more...
Guide to Monsters gave Yuanti magical resistance. I don't think
mean, that's-
anyone can do anything more broken than that.
right.
That's fair. All right. Now that we've done the Dragonborn options, let's do another look at kobolds. So I believe there is already an option for kobolds in the game. Oh, no, is that
Yeah,
correct?
once again, Volo's Guide to Monsters. It's
that's what I thought.
it was one of the more, once again, controversial ones because it was one of the only player races that had negative stat blocks along with orcs.
And also,
They
I
had
believe
-2 to strength.
a groveling feature.
Yes,
Yes.
they had it. They
So,
had
like,
a
not
I am
great.
a weak and pathetic person
Yeah.
always, no matter
Well,
what my backstory is.
I actually wish that they had incorporated a lot more of the actual monster kobold abilities into the player races, because they didn't do that. Like, they have the inventor kobolds, and I was like excited to do that. And it's like, no, you don't get that as a kobold player.
The cool stuff.
You don't get the cool stuff. You just get to like kowtow to people, basically.
Let's see how they adjust it. I think that that specifically is why they're revisiting it, because it's not great. If you go back and look at that stat, it's not, in a bunch of ways, it's not that interesting, and also they have a groveling feature, so it's like not great. So
On a few levels, not great.
so let's jump into the kobolds here. Some of the smallest draconic creatures to walk the plains, kobolds display their draconic ancestry in the glint of their scales and in their roars. Legends tell of the first kobolds emerging from the Underdark near the lairs of the earliest dragons. In some lands, kobolds serve chromatic or metallic dragons, even worshipping them as divine beings. In other places, kobolds know too well how dangerous those dragons can be, and help others defend against draconic destruction. Whatever their relationship to dragons, kobold scales tend to be rust-colored, although the occasional kobold sports scale color more akin to that of a chromatic or a metallic dragon. The roar of a kobold can express a range of emotion: anger, resolve, elation, fear, and more. Regardless of the emotion the kobold expresses, the roar resonates with draconic power.
Makes them less lame.
Yeah, less lame. Kobold traits. You have the following racial traits. Creature type, you're a humanoid. Size, you are small. Speed, your walking speed is 30 feet. Dark vision. You'll notice that previous the Dragonborns
didn't have it.
did not have dark vision, which is true to the Dragonborns in the
yeah,
player's handbook.
normal
Yeah.
Dragonborn do not have dark.
They are some of the only people that
Which I
can't
do
see in the
like.
dark.
I do wish there was
Yeah.
a bit more variety of dark vision, so I'm
Humans,
glad that
halflings, and Dragonborns do not have dark vision.
Yep.
I'm glad
Everyone
they
else
kept it
does.
and didn't just kind of shove it in and be like, while we're here, we might as well. Dark vision. You can see in dim light within 60 feet of you as if it were bright light. And you get it. You discern color.
50 Shades of Grey.
Yes, correct. 60 feet
Oh,
of shades.
60 Shades of Grey.
Yes,
Yeah.
60 feet of shades of gray. Correct. Draconic legacy. The kobold connection to dragons can manifest in unpredictable ways in an individual kobold. Choose one of the following legacy options when you select this race. So you can pick one of these three. Instead of doing the, which color are you, these are your options here. 1. You have advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the frightened condition on yourself.
Okay.
Okay,
Two.
so they have like a pseudo
Bravery.
brave.
Yeah, which is like a lot of dragons in D&D have a fear ability. So it's like if they're a race defined by
Their
being
relationship
near
with
Others.
dragons.
Yeah.
That's
They would
interesting.
naturally be used to that.
They
That's
get,
cool.
they kind of get like, you get used to it after a couple of times.
Just shake it off.
You know one cantrip of your choice from the sorcerer's spell list. Intelligence, wisdom, or charisma is your spellcasting ability for that cantrip. Choose when you select this race. Nog,
See, they
caught
got my
it.
feedback.
They
got
caught
my
your feedback.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Dang it. Darn it. I wish they could have kept it as modular. Or 3, you can make unarmed strikes with your tail. When you hit with it, the strikes deal 1d6 plus your strength modifier bludgeoning damage, instead of the bludgeoning damage normal for an unarmed strike.
Stegosaurus tail,
No,
kobold.
it's like a monitor lizard.
Oh, it just whaps people.
I'm thinking of like Steve Irwin chasing down a monitor lizard and getting like hit in the ankles.
Oh gosh.
I mean, so it bumps it up from 1d4 to 1d6 plus strength, right? That's the
Yeah.
difference? Or is unarmed strike also plus strength? No, it's just a raw d4, correct?
No, unarmed strengths are just 1 plus strength. If you don't have the
You're not
something,
proficient.
if you don't have, you are proficient in your own unarmed strikes.
Okay, fair enough.
Which is weird, but because the feat Tavern Brawler also says that you gain that, but it's because they had to reword some things. But you are always proficient in your own one-armed strength, but your unarmed strengths always do exactly 1 damage plus your strength. So if you have a negative strength modifier, you physically cannot do damage with an unarmed strike.
Got him.
Which I know a lot of people in real life who are like that.
Yes,
So
yeah.
this checks out.
Draconic Roar. As a bonus action, you let out a draconic roar at your enemies within 10 feet of you. Until the end of your next turn, you and your allies have advantage on attack rolls against any of those enemies who could hear the roar. Whoa!
Wow.
You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
That's pretty good.
So that's very good, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You
love
guys
Because-
want to know? You guys want to know a secret?
What?
That's the cower and beg ability.
Got him.
Except
It's cool now.
it includes you as well as your allies
Ah.
against enemies within 10 feet of you.
And it
So
feels
once
less
again,
pathetic.
like the hobgoblin from the Fae
Yep.
or from the Feywild, this is the exact same ability, but now they have reflavored it so that it's part of their actual origins as a species, as opposed to just their
They're
sucky.
personally a coward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I like too that they're the tiny dragons, but their ability is the roar. I
They
think
can
that's
still
great.
roar and they can still
Yeah.
channel. Like I'm imagining, like this is Simba practicing his roar, like in the Stampede scene where he's just going,
Yeah.
he's trying his hardest.
The original stat block, Onog, does it have a saving throw at all of any kind?
Let me see.
Because this is
it's just an ability you
it's
use.
just straight. Wow. Yeah. Well, so yeah.
But it is also once again an ability that recovered on a short rest. That they have made it so that it's a proficiency on a long rest.
Which, yeah, I mean, it can be pretty good if used multiple turns in a row. I feel that's pretty spicy.
I will say, this in general, I guess to me feels underwhelming compared to the Dragonborns that we were just looking at. But maybe that's
Definitely.
not true.
No, I think
This
think
is
I get what
also
you're
a
saying.
bonus action too, whereas the cower and beg ability is an entire action.
Oh, so it got a buff. Actually,
You can
Interesting.
immediately utilize the advantage you gain from it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get what you're saying though, Bean, with this stat block compared to all the Dragonborns we just saw. It doesn't feel as strong and powerful as them. Definitely.
And it's not, I don't know if it's just that it doesn't feel that way because it doesn't seem as cool because the other ones are like
Flavored around being
gems
very
and
cool.
stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
or if it's
When
just like
coolness is one of your design options.
or if it's just like, well, it's the tiny dragons so they're not as strong.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like this Draconic Roar ability, the ability to grant everyone in your party advantage
That's what I'm saying. I think
is really
it
powerful.
is really powerful. It just doesn't it doesn't
It doesn't
seem
feel
as
it doesn't
cool.
feel as snappy.
You're
Yeah.
like, I can't jump into lava. Like
Yeah.
it but
It
the
doesn't
thing
have
But it
this-
also will come up a lot more often than
Yeah.
jumping into
Yes.
It definitely has. I think I get what you're saying, B. Where it's got much less like airbrushed
Cool
on the
factor.
side of a van energy, right? Like the previous ones were all like, I have crystal wings. Like it's
Yeah.
pretty sick.
Yeah.
I
This one's
breathe
I'm
force
driving the
damage.
van that's got airbrush on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
one is
yeah.
like I'm a roadie for a band.
This one is like, not only do I drive the van, but I bought the easy pass that lets us go through the toll booths faster.
And it's like you're helping too.
It's like, and I feel like these abilities, they'll actually come up all the time
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
constantly help you in smaller ways.
So being able to just at the drop of a hat go, everyone has advantage, go, is so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. for
It's
sure.
also interesting to notice that kobolds already had their negative stats taken away by like an announcement from Wizards of the Coast a couple months
errata,
back.
as they say.
But it's also interesting to note that kobolds in this no longer have sunlight sensitivity either.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
They had sunlight
I
sensitivity
totally
too.
forgot.
Yeah.
Why
Kobolds,
did
they feel more like salamanders than like
I hate
dragons.
them so much when they made them the first time.
Man.
And they're gross and slimy. You know, it's
were
just like,
rough.
why did this
It's
keep
also
happening?
nice that they live longer than 11 days now.
Yeah, that's
Because
that's really
Chris Perkins famously said on Critical Role that kobolds only live for 11 days.
well, it's very possible that the character he was playing didn't know how long a day was.
Chris
Was
Perkins
incorrect.
said
An
it.
unreliable.
Chris Perkins said it. It is lore. It is canon.
As I have said often behind the scenes, multiple times for the fantasy park I worked for, my character is allowed to be wrong.
So a feat represents a character achieving mastery in one of their. I'm just bringing this up on my own.
Oh, you're
accord.
actually reading the document. Oh, got it.
Oh, yeah. A feat represents feats. A feat represents a character achieving mastery in one of their capabilities or discovering the ability to do something completely new. Completely new. When the mastery arises from a draconic source, whether it's the gift of a true dragon, the manifestation of some draconic heritage, the blessing of a draconic god, or as a consequence of slaying a true dragon, it can have dramatic supernatural effects.
I didn't know
That
that was a
nice.
thing we could do.
Kind of crazy.
I have killed you and now I take your power. That's a classic fantasy.
So
trope.
my only problem with that is that there's no real way on D&D Beyond to manually add a free feat.
Really?
Like you can't really do that. So if this does if like that rule, I've always wanted to try and figure out how to do that, because the only way you can really add feats is if you level up and get the feat. Yeah, or you get to that fourth level.
Because I've seen people use like feats as like DM rewards, like almost like loot for certain actions.
And maybe it's like something you can do in like options on the page itself. But so far, the only way I know how to add feats in D&D Beyond is to level up to the point where you would earn one naturally.
I mean, there's probably a way to do it, and it's just not very obvious. I wonder if there's an ancient bard book that is missing a letter, and they're thinking that you can get draconic feats by laying a true dragon, and that's why
Oh, no.
they are going around doing
why
what they're
bards be
known
barded.
for.
Solid joke. I do take umbrage with the bard trope, but gift of the chromatic dragon. So each of the feats is flavored as a gift of the blank dragon, one for each of the types we discussed
Ooh,
earlier.
gift of the blank dragon. What would that be?
What are blank dragon abilities? They can cast Feeble Mind.
No.
It's not a blink dog, it's a blank dog. You've manifested some of the power of chromatic dragons, granting you the following benefits. So each one of these feats will have two abilities, kind of a more minor and then a more major one, but you'll see how it kind of works out here. As a bonus action, you can touch a simple or martial weapon and infuse it with one of the following damage types: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison, so the chromatic damage types. For the next minute, the weapon deals an extra 1d4 damage of the chosen type when it hits. After you use this ability, you can't do so again till you finish a long rest.
Okay, I was thinking for a second, that's interesting. Why wouldn't they just make it that, like, a normal person has a very light breath weapon attack? And then I was like, but then if you're a Dragonborn, that's stupid because you already have a breath weapon, so this makes it so that more people are
Even
able
if
to
something that a
Dragonborn take
Dragonborn
it,
would
there's a
like to
benefit.
take.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Instead of just saying you get a breath weapon and then Dragonborn be like, oh, so why would I take this?
You
Yeah.
get
gives
more
you-
breath weapon.
You get a third breath weapon. No. Okay, the second half of the ability, when you take acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison damage, you can use your reaction to give yourself resistance to that instance of damage.
Oh.
You
Okay.
can use this reaction a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
Is that all of the damage? You
Yeah,
don't
so
pick
it's modular.
You don't
Yeah.
pick, like,
At
blue
any
dragon.
moment, you could pick any of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's useful even for a
Chromatic
chromatic
dragon.
Dragonborn.
That's
'Cause
cool.
you
It's like,
could
sure,
pick
they
when
get a
you're
little
not
bit of a
resistant
non-bow
to.
because they're already resistant to fire, but now they can, at a drop of a hat, gain resistance to lightning or
Yeah.
poison or acid.
Okay, that's fun though. You're a red dragon. Somebody hits you with lightning bolt, and they're like, "Haha, your resistance has no power here." And then you're like, "Actually, shake it off."
Actually, yeah, funny thing about that.
Funny thing about it, please don't hit me with that again.
I actually am a blue Dragonborn, and I'm just wearing red face paint.
Oh, but what if you did a bluff? Like you
That's very
you
good.
lied and just like, no, I'm actually a blue Dragonborn. Please don't hit me with fire. And you trick the enemy wizard into using the damage
Oh my
type
gosh,
you are immune
you
to.
pull a full
Fire, my
Brer
weakness.
Rabbit.
Yeah,
Don't throw me in the briar
pull a full
patch.
Brer Rabbit.
Gift of the Metallic Dragon. You've manifested some of the power of metallic dragons, granting you the following benefits. 1. You learn the Cure Wounds spell.
Okay.
Yeah. You can cast this spell without expending a spell slot. Once you cast the spell in this way, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. You can also cast this spell using spell slots you have. The spell's spellcasting ability is Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma when you cast it. With this feat, choose when you gain the feat. So,
Okay.
Yet again, they got
They
you.
got you
Metallic
on
dragons
that.
have healing abilities?
No.
Nah, none of them do, if I remember correctly. I don't think any of them
I'm not
do.
remembering any of them having them.
I think this is
But
more
it
aligned
actually-
with the flavor of in the
Metal.
Monster Manual. Metallic dragons are flavored as the good ones who
Right.
care and want to help and protect.
Well, it also makes sense because metal, not only historically and in lore, has healing abilities. Metal actually really does have healing abilities. Like silver is an antiseptic and antibiotic. So,
True.
like,
I mean, yeah.
there really
still
are
just
healing.
seems like a little bit of a it's like, yeah, and metal's used to make weapons. Like, you know, it just feels a little random. I guess the chromatic one felt very linked to what the chromatic dragonborns were getting, and this one does not feel very linked to what the metallic dragonborns are getting, so that's just a little odd to me.
So after checking, after cutting away and now having cut back, listeners, we just checked every dragon stat block we could find. I don't see cure wounds anywhere in a metallic
If we're
dragon.
missing something, let us know if you know
Yeah,
what
we
that's
might be
tied
wrong.
to.
Like Bahamut is the platinum dragon associated with healing.
Maybe
and
Bahamut can
light?
do it in an adventure I don't have access
it
to.
might be Bahamut.
Maybe.
I think it's just that they're like chromatic dragons are the good guys, which means healing
metallic.
people and shielding people.
And
And I meant
metallic, yeah.
metallic, but I've already said it.
Cones and rods. Let's
Cones
talk
and
about the
rods.
second one here, and let's talk about them not flavor-wise, but mechanically speaking after that.
Yeah.
You can manifest protective wings that can shield you or others from attacks. When you or another creature you can see within 5 feet of you is hit by an attack, you can use your reaction to manifest spectral wings from your back for a moment. Roll a d4, and grant
crazy.
a bonus to the target's AC equal to the number rolled against the attack roll, potentially causing it to miss. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
Okay.
I mean, okay, but
I like
That's
that.
not that different from other mechanics that already exist in D&D.
yes, that already exist. And,
I
but
think, though, it's
I
interesting.
don't
It's
like
a
that
much.
it could just be a 1. I don't like that.
It could be a 1, but honestly, a 1 to your AC can matter, which is very
true.
important. I think it's really good because it's much better than just saying they have disadvantage on the roll. At least personally.
Yes.
I get that disadvantage is technically a -5, but also it isn't.
Right,
Sometimes
right.
they
Yeah.
roll better, so it
And
doesn't matter.
that's the problem with like the protector fighting style or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's like, and you, at least with this one, it's like the attack already. Let me see.
I can do the math and I can make that
The attack already has to have been successful, so
Yeah.
you know you're not wasting the attempt.
Yeah.
And yeah, even though it's not as big, it's basically like you get shield, but you can use it on other people nearby you.
Yeah.
The
it's,
yeah.
you can do that math in your head and go, what's the chance I roll a 4? If I really need just a 4, it's not worth using right now. But you can also say, like, at this point, if this
Anything
person
helps.
dies, I
Like, we
need to
go
try
down.
to roll a 4. Like, I have to try.
Yeah. My issue with it is that you manifest spectral wings and then proceed to not be able to fly.
Yeah.
Like that kind of
Yeah.
that's a weird feels bad.
Also, a feat
agree.
that just like you have big ass wings sometimes is like a lot.
What if it just said you manifest 1 spectral wing? And then it's kind of
ju-
like in like the Falcon where he
Sephiroth?
uses it as a shield in
Are
front
you
of him.
workshopping something for your DeviantArt campaign? Just
No, I'm
one
just saying
wing.
that's why you can't fly. Because you only have the 1.
I mean,
It's
it's,
just-
almost
both
like
of these
throwing
are
a
a little
cape
weird.
around someone.
Yeah, it feels right, but it's just simply the fact that it's wings and then
Yeah.
it's almost taunting.
Because I
because-
get it.
Yeah, I get it, and it
yeah.
makes sense why it's wings for a dragon coming out to protect something. But then again, it just feels bad that they can't fly with them. Like,
But I mean,
It's
it
weird
could just
that
be
the other ability
scales.
isn't flying related, but then that
'Cause
would
it
be
could-
weird if that one was metallic and not gem, because gem dragonborns were the one who got a flying thing.
Yes.
So it just feels a
Right.
little weird.
Yeah.
But you could play with it because metallic dragons supposedly have metal in their scales. So what
Right.
if when you reached out with your arm, it had metal scales on it for a second? And I know it's not a lot of space, but like it's like you add a little bit of like a metal,
yeah, it could. Yeah, your skin suddenly
Or
becomes
even-
infused,
or
and
even
your
you-
hand sticks out.
You
Yeah,
touch someone and they grow metallic, like they get a
Ooh, yeah,
metallic
yeah.
sheen across their skin, and
Like a
you
bark
infuse.
skin kind of a thing.
Yeah,
then it has like creepy, weird
and
implications.
it's super light. It's just barely like you just if they're in the sun, you can tell
Just
that
for
they
a
glow
second.
gold for a
Iridescence.
second.
Yeah.
And that they have sort of metallicness
But when you
in
let
their
go,
skin.
it goes away again.
Yeah, and it's not that you grow scales. It's just
I
you get
like
metal for a second.
Yeah, I like that better
That's
than
really
this,
cool.
honestly, Bean.
That's
That's
really
a better
cool.
flavor.
Good idea.
But overall, I think this is kind of a big flavor miss on both of these.
Yeah,
They don't feel that
sadly.
connected to the metallic dragonborn we just saw, or metallic dragons in the monster manual. So why? any of
Yeah, this
Why
feels
any of
very
it?
weird.
Yeah. I wish it was something related to, maybe something about that second breath weapon, something along the lines of enhancing that. Like the first feat gave you essentially not a new breath weapon, but a way to use a breath weapon type ability to enhance your attacks. So I can put my fire on my sword and then use my fire breath weapon.
Maybe if it gave you like an area control ability.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
this second ability is sort of an area control because anyone that's next to you is going to have your protection, and if the enemies pick up on that, they're going to think twice before attacking you or somebody next to you.
That's fair.
Like, and
Yeah.
so like I do kind of like, I like the second ability because it does kind of play into the metallic area control thing that their whole steez they got going on. But yeah, but it still feels weird.
So sort
Like-
of the mechanics of that second ability are okay, but the flavor is off, and then
It's
the
kind of-
first
it's-
one
yeah,
feels
it's just
so
a weird-
disconnected.
Yeah, the
Weird
first
taste
one,
in your mouth.
I guess.
it's a good
Yeah.
ability, but it just doesn't make sense as to why it's happening here.
I agree. So let's do the final one here. Gift of the Gem Dragon. You've manifested some of the power of gem dragons, granting you the following benefits. Increase your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20.
Because you
Sure.
got mind powers.
You got mind powers. And this is a feat, so anyone can take
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Well,
so
and it's also interesting to note this is the only one of these that
Yeah.
grants you a stat bonus.
Yep.
Yeah. And 2, the second part. When you take damage from a creature that is within 10 feet of you, you can use your reaction to emanate telekinetic energy. The creature that dealt damage to you must succeed on a strength saving throw, DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus, plus the ability modifier of the score increased by this feat,
Okay.
or take 2d8 force damage and be pushed 10 feet away from you. You can use this reaction a number of times, equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish.
I'm
a
sorry,
loss.
but the metallic ones were the ones pushing people away
Yeah.
from them. Did
But-
we just swap these around?
But the gem dragons deal force damage.
yeah.
So this is
And
this
it's a
basically
telekinetic.
gives you a little mini hellish rebuke.
Yeah.
That's what it gives you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool.
It's
Especially if you're like
fine.
a more tanky character.
Okay, here's a question about the chromatic dragon going back. Should you just take that feat instead of being an Eldritch Knight?
Why? What do you mean?
Because it lets you like do fire sword as a bonus
That's
action.
not
You touch
everything
your
in Eldritch.
weapon and
Okay,
infuse
Mercy,
it.
you think that Eldritch Knights are just people
Green
who have a
flame blade
fire
and that's
sword.
it.
No, there's more to being an Eldritch Knight than that. I've told this.
Yeah.
There is no
sometimes
other reason to be an Eldritch Knight.
sometimes you can cast magic missile.
Yeah,
Occasionally,
once.
yeah. I've been an Eldritch Knight. Don't condescend to me, guys. I've been one. It wasn't that good.
Okay, thank you for derailing the conversation.
All right. Yeah.
No,
Well,
I'm
I mean,
saying though, you would be a better like magic-y fighter if you were just an actual like a regular fighter
and then had
and
some of
had
these
that
feats.
feat than
yeah.
you would be as an Eldritch
Maybe.
Knight.
Arguable. Yeah, fair enough. I think
Depends on what you want out of it.
I mean that's just a lambasting of the Eldritch Knight, where if you want to be a magic using sword fighting boy, just be a blade singer. But we
Yeah,
can talk about that
honestly.
later.
That's its own thing.
So yeah, the gift of the metallic dragon, the gift of the gem dragon, both I'm not that happy
Yeah.
with.
They're
Yeah, I
fine.
agree.
They're fine as
They're fine.
feats go. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like they're bad abilities. It's just a little bit like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And once again, with the gift of the gem dragon, we run into almost the exact same problem we had with the original reading of the breath weapon on the Dragonborn race. Is that because it only scales in the number of times you can use it. It doesn't scale in the amount of damage it deals. So it's doesn't feel that impactful the higher you get, the higher level you get.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, like-
it's a reaction, but
Yeah, it's a reaction, and
Yeah.
you know, it's I feel like this is, especially for the gem dragon, it's a good starting point. But like, I don't know.
It's just not great.
This is kind of like, as you guys can tell, the stark opposite of how we reacted when we got to the player races. Is
Right.
we're just absolutely unengaged by these. It's like,
We're
okay,
like
cool.
trying to apologize for them, being like, I guess it's fine.
Yeah, like
Although I will say the gift of the chromatic dragon, I
That's not
think
bad.
is fine.
I like that
Gift
one.
of the Chromatic Dragon is great. It's
I
it
think-
basically gives you free casting of
Absorb element.
Yeah, absorb elements. It just gives you like a little free absorb elements that isn't as impactful, but it's free and you can just do it.
Yeah.
Man, you really could make a cool, like, champion fighter with the gift of the Chromatic Dragon.
Definitely.
You really could, though.
Flavor-wise, yes. You could have a lightning sword.
That'd be really cool.
Yes. All right, so Wizards of the Coast team, you're hearing how uninterested we are. Put those two back in the oven for a little bit, please. Keep working on those.
They weren't quite done.
Let's move on to the final part of the document, spells.
These feats weren't approved. They need to go back in the proven drawer.
Oh, your feats, they're a bit tough. Spells. This section contains new spells that the DM may add to a campaign, making them available to player characters and monster spellcasters alike. The spells table lists the new spells, ordering them by level. The table also notes the school of magic of a spell, whether it requires concentration, whether it bears the ritual tag, and which classes have access to it. So in the spell blocks themselves, they don't say all those things, so if you need to know those, go back to this little table here. So like,
Wait, do they have the ritual tag?
So Draconic Transformation, this first one here, we can look down and say, oh, it's a transmutation spell. It is concentration.
Literally none of them have the ritual.
It's not a ritual, yes. But they do have
so
to just tell
that's
you
something
whether
we
they
can
have it or
talk
not.
about later is ever since the original Player's Handbook, Wizards of
haven't
the
added
Coast has
ritual
added
spells.
exactly one spell that has the ritual tag.
Man.
And it feels kind of weird that they're not utilizing like an entire aspect of spell casting that they invented
Especially
for...
when some classes benefit more from their existence than others.
Well, most prepared casters can cast things as... I mean, that's the point of a ritual, is that it doesn't expand
Right.
a spell slot.
Right.
So like druids and wizards and clerics, they all have the ability to cast ritual spells, but like there haven't been any new ones.
I think it's kind of because like DMs aren't running campaigns in the way that they thought they would, and so
people just aren't using
breaking
rituals.
the game
think you
because
might
they
be
were
right.
just going like, oh, I just spend 10 minutes to cast this without any
consequences.
repercussions or
Downside,
consequences. And then
Fair
so they're
enough.
like, oh, well, that wasn't really supposed to be how this went.
So all of these spells are added to the wizard spell list, and then
Of
they're
course.
variable which other ones they're added to. One of them's added to the artificer. That's fun.
I think they're all also added to the sorcerer spell list,
It
which is
looks
at
like
least
it, yes,
a
they
nice
Yes.
flavor
Oh.
plus.
You are correct. So wizard
It kinda
answer,
makes
and
sense 'cause
especially
there's
yes,
the Draconic
the draconic
sorcerer.
sorcerer. So that's good. Good that it's added.
Yeah.
It would be a bit awkward if it was.
It'd be weird if the people who literally get their power from dragon blood
Can't.
didn't have access to dragon spells.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things here is that we're going to go through these in alphabetical order, but it means that we're starting off with the biggest and coolest one. So
Which is a
I
bit
would
of a-
normally save that for
bit of a
last,
trip.
but we're just going to start with this one.
Let's go.
Draconic Transformation, 7th
yeah.
level transmutation. Casting
Nice.
time,
Yeah.
1 bonus action. Range, self. Components, VSM. A statuette of a dragon worth at least 500 gold pieces. Duration, concentration up to 1 minute. With a roar, you draw on the magic of dragons to transform yourself, taking on various draconic features. You gain the following benefits until the spell ends. 1. You have blind sight with a range of 30 feet. Within
Okay.
that range, you can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness. Moreover, you can see an invisible creature, unless the creature successfully hides from you. 2. Incorporeal wings sprout from your back, giving you a flying speed of 40 feet.
No.
So
Your-
that's the problem. The previous
your
ones
blouse
were
is ruined.
spectral. These are incorporeal.
Yeah.
That's the difference. 3. When you cast this spell, and as a bonus action on subsequent turns for the duration, you can exhale a breath of shimmering energy in a 30-foot cone. Each creature in the area must make a dexterity saving throw, taking 3d8 force damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one.
And
All
it's
we had
neat,
to
which
say
is
was
what they've
shim-
also changed the
Other
breath
ones
weapon
too.
too. Yeah.
Yes.
Also, all we had to say was shimmering energy instead of gas, and look how not uncomfortable
Look how
we
much
are.
better it makes it.
That's
yeah.
correct. Easy fix, wizards. Gas. Control F. Gas. Replace energy.
Boom.
There you go.
There we go.
So you turn into a dragon, essentially, like
That's very
a mini
cool.
dragon yourself. You get the blind sight, you get the flight, you get the breath weapon. Even if you weren't a dragonborn, you are more than a dragonborn now.
But you still like can look like just a cool, dope version of yourself. You don't like turn
Yeah.
into a reptile.
But if you, notably, if you are already a Dragonborn, all of these still benefit you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
way of handling that.
Because it's a bonus action for this breath weapon, which means
They
you
can
can do your action to replace
Hmm.
your attack for your breath weapon, and then your action to replace your attack for your metallic breath weapon, and then a bonus action for this breath weapon.
Love that.
And just torch the battlefield.
It does say that you have to have a statuette of a dragon.
Yeah.
I like the idea that whichever statuette you get, that is what you look like. So if you just happened to be like at the gift shop in the airport in Japan and all you could get was like a cutesy anime keychain dragon, that's what you're gonna look like.
If you
More
got
like
baby
a chibi.
dragon.
I like that it does not say the spell is or that the statuette is consumed. So you can
Yeah, you just
can
can keep doing
reuse
it.
Yeah. You just got to have it on you when you do the spell.
You the only statuette that you can get is like a really weirdly sexy dragon, and you're like, this isn't really what I wanted, but this is the one that
I don't
I've
feel
got.
comfortable
The
with this.
other dragon was only worth 40 gold, and this
Just
is the
as a-
one.
Just as a design note in general, I am a fan. I understand that for balance, sometimes you need it to be difficult to recast spells, so that it has to consume the material component. I get that mechanically, that's necessary. I like things like this that give you a really flavorful and interesting, unique object that does not get consumed, because I like the idea. I play a lot of spellcasters, and I like the idea of, like, reaching into whatever that chest is that you can, like, summon, and, like, rooting through these, like, strange magical artifacts.
just have
and
such
pulling out
random
the dragon
collectibles.
figurine and be like, oh, this is what I was looking for. Poof, and then you cast this crazy spell. Like, that's cool.
You're like Mary Poppins pulling just the strangest objects out of your bag until you
Yeah.
find the one that you need.
Definitely.
If anyone knows Wheel of Time, it makes me think of, like, pulling out your collection of Turangrial to, like,
Yeah.
do these cool, specific magical acts.
Mercy,
with.
are you some kind of nerd?
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
These,
Yes.
Can I-
these
I don't know how to tell you this.
unique accessories that define your kind of character. Yeah.
Right. Can I take a little bit of a hot take on this spell?
Ooh, hold on.
I'm only accepting warm takes.
Okay, a warm take.
Hold on, this just in a hot take from Ona. Go ahead.
I
Over
think
to
this
you,
is
Anna.
kind of underwhelming. For a 7th level spell, this
Yeah.
isn't really that interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
and
for
like
7th level, yeah.
it's saved a little bit because like 3d8 force, that's nothing. That's nothing at 13th or 14th level. But the fact that it's a bonus action is kind of neat, so you can still
it's
use
not-
your whole action to do other things.
I think it's that it's a bonus
Yeah.
action.
yeah. So it's
And
like it
it's
just
not a
adds a little
spell.
bit of damage. Yeah.
So you can still cast other spells and then trigger this
Okay.
bonus action.
Uh-huh.
As
That
long as
makes
they
it
aren't
better.
concentration spells too.
That
Yeah.
makes it better. For a 7th level slot, though, it,
Like,
it does seem like it should do more damage.
This is
you're
when
not
you get
wrong.
like simulacrum and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I think if you just made it do more
Teleport, whirlwind, symbol, sequester, reverse gravity. The other thing, and this is a much more niche critique of it, is it is a mild non-bow with draconic sorcerers, because ironically I don't think I know a single draconic sorcerer that would ever want to take this, because I imagine the majority of what you want to be doing with this is it allows you to fly and do this, and it gives you the dark or the blind sight. But at level 14 is when draconic sorcerers gain their own innate ability to fly.
Oh.
And so they they are like much more disincentivized to cast this spell.
I mean,
Does
at
it change? Real quick, does it? This gives you a flying speed of 40 feet.
I
so does
think
it
it's
maybe
actually
bump?
shorter.
Oh,
I think
dang it.
they're.
I
I
was
think
gonna
they
say,
have.
if the sorcerer gives you you have a fly speed equal to your walking speed, this would be a 10-foot bump, so you're a little faster.
yeah.
That's true,
I will
'cause
say,
Let me double check.
I will
see.
say, it is nice when feats are able to go along, especially with the thing that they sort of
or
match.
spells.
Spells, yes. It's nice. Well, feats, spells,
Right.
what have you. It is nice when they go along with it. At a certain point, though, you are not able to make every single thing that you make play
Work with
along with
everything.
everything. And so there's just going to be
Yeah,
certain
that's
things
true.
where it's like, maybe this is designed to give non-draconic sorcerers more of a draconic feeling. And if you are a draconic sorcerer, then yes, you wouldn't be picking this because you have abilities that do it.
So this gives you a raw 40 feet, whereas the Dragon Wings ability grants you a flying speed equal to your current speed.
Okay, so it's faster.
So it's a little bit faster, though. Yeah,
Not a huge change.
Yeah, not
a
that big of a
7th level
difference.
slot change.
No.
I think
with
the
the rest of
main
it-
draw would be the consistent bonus action damage and the blind sight because and that's the thing is like a lot of these abilities are things you can kind of get with other spells at much lower things though still but it's not something you can get with lower spells all at the same time.
Yeah, it is for me really like I think there's something to be said for like if this is the concentration spell you're going to go with for the fight and you're deciding I'm not swapping concentration spells for the rest of this fight, I'm going to stay concentrating on this and use my non-concentration spells, I'm just going to be raining fireballs down for the rest of the fight. You fly up 30 feet or 20 feet off the ground so you're not in melee range and you are just raining fireballs, and then as a bonus action you just add another 3d8 every single turn for the whole fight.
This is a really good spell for a wizard.
On a wizard it's pretty strong, I feel.
Stronger than on a storm sorcerer or something that can already
storm sorcerers can already fly, draconic sorcerers can already fly. I think this also goes on druids. So that's so what's very interesting with that is that if the druid casts the spell and then transforms into an animal,
are they do they still have big
because
dragon
they
wings
still have the spell and they can maintain
Definitely.
concentration, so they can they become a flying bear.
That's great.
The other interesting interaction is if a bard steals this and they have already stolen Find Steed.
Oh no!
Because Find Steed says every time you cast a spell that has the range of self on yourself, it also casts on your steed. So you could also have a steed that has blind sight and has its own ability to shoot 3d8 cones of force damage.
But to be fair, that would require a very specific build of spell stealing from one subclass
But
of
it's
bard.
now my only goal.
It's now my only
singular
purpose.
I mean, that's the thing is like that means that's a bard that stole this and Find Steed. You know,
Yeah,
like
you're
that's
doing
a very
that on
niche
purpose.
interaction. But now I just want to see a magical horse running around just shooting out energy waves
That's
while
pretty
you're
sick.
riding
Commit to
around.
that, they should let you do it.
They should let you do it. I'll allow it. All right, let's move on. We've only got a few left to go.
We're at the end.
Fizban's Platinum Shield. Who's Fizban? I don't know. I'm sure if I was a really big lore nerd, I would know who that is.
I think that's the name of the platinum dragon
I thought
when
the
he's
Platinum
in
Dragon
human
was
form.
Bahamut.
No, Bahamut is the platinum dragon, but he constantly disguises himself as like a hobo.
So his secret
Is he Fizban the hobo?
I think I don't know. Like I said, like I don't really know much lore, but I think that might be it.
Yeah. 6th level Abjuration. Casting time 1 action. Range 60 feet. Components VSM. A platinum plated dragon scale worth at least 500.
Oh, platinum
pieces.
plated. Thank goodness.
Yeah, platinum.
A
plated,
platinum
not
dragon scale. Where are we
Give me
going to
one of your
find one of
scales,
those?
Bahamut. Duration. Concentration up to 1 minute. You create a field of silvery light that surrounds a creature of your choice within range. You can choose yourself. The field sheds dim light out to 5 feet. As a bonus action on subsequent turns, you can move the field to another creature within 60 feet of the field. Okay. The creature protected by the field gains the following benefits. The creature has half cover, which is actually very good.
Mm-hmm.
I always forget how good half cover is, but it's quite good.
Cover is one of those like forgotten mechanics.
It's like, man, you should really plan around cover more often.
Yeah, read up on cover before
yeah.
your next game.
Read up on half cover and full cover. The creature has resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, and poison damage.
Ooh.
Nice.
If the creature is subjected to an effect that allows it to make a dexterity saving throw to take only half damage, the creature instead takes no damage if it succeeds and only half damage if it fails. Which
So it gives
a bunch of guys
everyone-
get that ability. Yeah.
It gives them evasion basically.
Yeah, the evasion ability. So half cover, you're harder to hit, you're resistant to all the chromatic damage types, and your saving throws are better. This makes you very good at fighting dragons.
This feels fair for a 6th level abjuration.
Yeah,
spell,
this-
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
think
feels
so.
pretty good. Especially because you can move it around as a
Yeah.
bonus action. So like
Yeah,
you can
every
cast it on
turn.
yourself, run up, fight the dragon,
Yeah.
and then move it to somebody else who's going to engage. Another fun thing too is this is a wonderful spell to be targeted by the meta magic of twin spell. Which means you could have 2 instances of this running at the same time, and you could probably move them individually. I would rule at least.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
pretty
you
wild.
could, I'm always down for something that makes a meta magic slightly more useful.
Yeah,
For sure.
That's your whole thing.
Yeah. So
But
yeah,
I
this
really like
I,
this.
I don't mind this. Yeah, this is especially good if you are fighting against these things, or if something. I mean, honestly, just the half cover in and of itself. If your party's being bombarded by archers, just now this guy has a shield on him and he's much harder to hit.
Yeah. I mean, isn't half cover... Oh, man. A target with half cover has +2 bonus to their AC and dexterity saving throws.
Oh, so
they
not
also
only-
get a +2 to their dex saves.
So not only do you have evasion, you have +2 to dex saves. That's a really
Yeah.
good synergy.
That's very good. That helps you a lot in, like you said, range fights. But it's not just +2 bonus AC against ranged attacks. It's just +2 bonus AC.
Oh.
Yeah, which normally means you have to like be blocked by a piece of cover or whatever. But this is a glowing
like,
orb
in
that
melee,
surrounds your body.
But in melee, the enemy could just walk around what's giving you half cover, so it's not that big
Yeah,
of a deal.
but this glowing
so-
orb, they can't walk around it.
Okay, so this just grants
Gives
you +2 AC
armor
and dex.
class. Oof. Yeah.
Man,
told
cover
you.
cover's really good.
That's a spicy one.
It is good. Yeah. I
And
like it.
suddenly the sharpshooter feat gets even better.
No cover for you. Flame Stride. 3rd level transmutation. Casting time 1 bonus action range self. Components VS. Duration concentration up to 1 minute. The billowing flames of a dragon cover your feet, granting you explosive speed for the
What?
duration.
Because you got to get away from that fire.
You're only
For the
fast because
duration.
you're going, oh dear God, oh no,
Yeah, jet
oh no.
boots.
No,
And
it's
everyone
jet
else is
boots.
yelling, stop, drop, and roll. Like
It's very
just-
specifically like Firebender jet boots. For the
okay,
duration,
cool.
your speed increases by 20 feet, and moving doesn't provoke opportunity attacks.
Ooh, nice.
You're too fast.
Yeah. When you move within 5 feet of a creature or object that isn't being worn or carried, if the creature's not being worn, it takes 1d6 fire damage from your trail of heat. A creature or object that can take this damage only once during a turn. At higher levels, when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 4th level or higher, increase your speed by 5 feet for each spell slot level above 3rd.
Nice.
Additionally, the spell deals an additional 1d6 fire damage for each spell slot level above 3rd. So it increases your speed by 20 feet. So let's say you're already somebody like, I don't know, like a wood elf or like a tabaxi. Tabaxi have 35 as well, or is it just wood elves?
No, just wood elves.
Wood elves have 35. Okay. And then you're one of those classes that gives you extra. Like, I don't know, don't monks get a bonus to their movement
Yeah,
speed?
but you wouldn't have this spell.
You're right.
So let's say you're a wood elf
Dang it.
ranger with the
trying to find a way to
with the
buff
mobile
them.
feat.
Is this Flame Stride for rangers as well?
Yes, flame stride looks for
Okay.
rangers.
Okay, ranger with the mobile feat. Yes, correct. It adds 20 to whatever you already have.
So you'd be moving at 65 feet around.
But you can up that by 5 feet for each spell slot. So you can get an additional, if you upcast this a ways, like, 10, 15, 20 feet of movement on top of that.
Just fly.
Maybe not for a ranger, but yeah, for like a wizard casting
For a
this at like
wizard, yeah.
9th level. What would this be at 9th level?
At 9th level, you at 6 more, so 6 times 5, so 30 feet
So
So you would be adding
Plus-
50 feet and
to your movement. Yeah, and you don't provoke
and
opportunity
66
attacks.
fire damage. You'd be doing 76 fire damage just by running by someone.
But the part
And there's
that
no
I really
save.
like-
They just take the damage.
Yeah, they just take it. The part I like is that since it adds it to your speed, when you do something like dashing, right, you're going to move that again. So it's a concentration spell. Once you've got it on, you're just running. You're like, I use my action
Yeah.
to dash.
I do
Or-
love that this is just kind of a spell that incentivizes doing like drive-by and just running by people.
this is a really good 3rd level spell. Like
I would like
Well,
to add
3rd
the
level's where you
caveat
get
that if you
fireball, so
I would like to add the caveat
Yeah.
that if you stop moving, you start
You
to
take the
burn.
damage.
you take that.
You have to
I
keep
think
moving.
The fact that it's concentration up to a minute and a bonus action make it really good though.
It
like
is.
if it was
Yeah.
just a one time, like until the beginning of your next turn, whatever,
Even-
it would not as much.
So even if you're a regular player who hasn't spec'd into your movement speed, you're an elf wizard, a high elf wizard, let's say. You have a movement speed of 30. it's a bonus action to cast this on yourself. Your speed is now 50. You move 50 feet, and then you dash as your action for the turn 100 feet in a turn. And you can do that every turn from now on
You
if
just
you'd
hit
like
everybody
to.
on the field, yeah.
And you don't provoke opportunity attacks. Yeah. Blade Singer? Yeah.
You just run by, and as you run by, you smack them with your sword.
Yeah, because it was just a bonus action. You still have an action, so if you don't dash, you can still like attack.
Attack?
Yeah.
Why
This is like a
not?
Sonic the Hedgehog ability where you just go back and
Yeah.
forth and slap them as you do that.
Well, I mean, you could flavor it as the wizard who discovered the spell as they were trying to cast haste on themselves, but it backfired.
And it's not haste, but it's
It's
still
not haste.
useful.
They accidentally
The
lit
cool
their
thing
boots on
is you
fire,
could-
but they were fast, so it worked.
Usefully, though, Onog, because it's not haste, it can stack with
Someone
haste.
can
If someone-
cast haste
if someone
on
else
this
casts
person.
haste on you. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
would be good teamwork, honestly.
Or if you steal this as a bard and you have a familiar.
Well,
You
you
have
can't
find-
cast haste and this because they're both concentration. But
No, I know, but I mean, you cast a find familiar, and then this has a range of self. So same as the previous spell, you just cast
or
it on
find
your
steed, find
horse.
steed. Yeah. Oh, your
Yeah.
horse lights on fire too.
Sorry, yeah,
be
find
rad.
steed, not find familiar.
That's
yeah.
so
And
cool.
Okay, so then
and
this is the
its
evil-
speed is being
Its
increased.
speed is what's increased.
It's the evil red horse, black horse from Skyrim that like is on fire.
Oh, it's
yeah.
Shadowmare, or yeah.
Yeah.
Arvac.
That's really cool.
The skeleton, flaming skeleton horse, Arvac.
Oh,
yeah, it's a
Arvac,
good spell.
Arvac, yeah, I forgot
It's one of my
about Arvac.
favorite ones. All right,
That's really good.
Icing Death's Frost.
That name is a little on the nose, okay?
I mean, it's the name of a dragon. What do you want?
It's a dragon.
That
Somebody
doesn't-
made this
icing,
name in-
It makes it not sound like ice, and
It's
it
a
makes it sound
cake.
like frosting.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, Icing Death's Fondant Frosting.
Yeah.
Second level evocation. Casting time, 1 action, range self, 15-foot cone.
A sugary
because-
glaze covers your enemies? What?
Components. S and M, not verbal, interestingly enough. No verbal.
You can be very
somatic and
quiet.
Material. A vial of melt water.
Ew.
Is that just melted, like
Probably.
ice?
That's
Probably
a
melted.
specific thing,
So-
though, if they're writing it as
I don't know
Here's
what
the
melt
thing.
water is.
Here's the thing. A wizard once put a ice cube in a bottle.
This is
and
called
then
melt
had
water.
and then had to discover that it didn't stay an
It's-
ice cube.
Hot ice. You heat up the ice cubes.
This technically is lava.
Technically, it's a magma. Duration instantaneous. A burst of icy cold energy emanates from you in a 30-foot cone. Each creature in that area must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, a creature takes 3d8 cold damage and is covered in ice for 1 minute, or until a creature uses its action to break the ice off itself or another creature. A creature covered in ice has its speed reduced to 0. On a successful save, a creature takes half as much damage with no additional effects. At higher levels, when you cast this spell using a spell slot of 3rd level or higher, increase the cold damage by 1d8 for each slot above 2nd.
And it doesn't say this, but it of course is true that if you walk up and slap them, that like little ice shards come off of them.
So
Okay, yeah, I mean, honestly.
Okay.
despite Bean's joke, I really like this spell.
Yeah, no, this is very good.
'Cause
Mercy,
it's-
you-
it's not-
So I looked it up. Melt water is just a real thing, and it is just water specifically formed by the melting of snow and ice, especially.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just
so, yeah,
that's
ice
a-
that melted.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. It's water that has to have been frozen at some point in time. That's a real scientific
Fair enough.
thing.
All right, Onog, how do you feel? I love this spell,
So
too.
yeah, I love this. Like, and it's very much on flavor with Ray of Frost, where it like doesn't do as much damage as like Firebolt. So like this is a 2nd level spell first of all, so it's not doing as much damage as Fireball, but it has the utility of either making the opponent waste their turn or making them unable to move.
That's so much better.
so good.
That's so much better than like another couple points of damage.
Yeah, like the just the sheer utility of that, and also like I am always here for a more variety of spell damage, because one of the things that people have been complaining a lot about is that all of the like fire is like one of the primary ways that you can deal damage, because there's only like one, or I think there's only like 2 spells that aren't Ray of Frost that
Yeah.
even do cold damage
Yeah.
in the player's handbook.
Yeah.
Like there's only like one or two spells that even do lightning damage. So anytime we get some other elemental spell that isn't fire, I'm here for it.
Yep.
Yeah, as if it's good, if it's
Definitely.
useful, this is very cool. This is cool area effect. It does really good damage for its second level for 3d8. That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
That is good.
You know,
That's a really good second level pick.
I love
Yeah,
that they
that-
found a good way to evoke the feeling of being frozen. That is still like functional and mechanical, but it's like
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
you're
not
covered in
broken
ice,
for
like, you can't
second
move,
level. Yeah.
but you got to like break out of the ice. Yeah, it's really good. I
It's
like
like
it a
the
lot.
water bending in like very early Avatar: The Last Airbender when they're just getting a very thin layer of ice like around their feet.
So they can't move,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
they're not dead.
Yeah.
They haven't been
All right.
instantly frozen.
Nathair's Mischief. Second
yes.
level illusion spell. Casting time 1 action. Range 60 feet. Components S and M. So no verbal again. The material is a piece of crust from an apple pie.
Oh.
Very specific.
Duration,
it makes sense.
concentration, up to 1 minute. It makes sense? What?
It makes sense as to why it is because of some of
Yes.
the effects.
Some of the effects, correct. I feel like this is like all a big in joke for who Nathair is, but yet again, I'm a lore bumpkin. I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, we've only
You've-
ever played our own homebrew. There's a reason
Yeah,
we
really.
review homebrew D
Yeah,
and
we
D
don't even
stuff.
use the Forgotten Realms.
Who are these people?
I don't know
You
anything about this. Sorry, keep going.
You fill a 20-foot cube centered on a point you choose. On a point you choose within range with Fey and Draconic magic. So I
Nice.
guess maybe Nathair was a Fey dragon of some sort?
Yes. Nathair is a
Oh my
chaotic
gosh.
good deity of the Sealy Court.
This
Fey
is just
dragon.
figment.
It's just figment. No.
Roll on the mischievous surge table, which is a great name for a table, to determine the magical effect produced. At the start of each of your turns, you can move the cube up to 10 feet and re-roll on the table. These are a little dense, so you're going to just have to let me get through them, and we'll hold your applause to the end. Mischievous surge table. 1. The smell of apple pie fills the air, and each creature in the cube must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or become charmed by you until the start of your next turn.
That's Fey stuff.
They also float slightly off the ground as their nostrils flare out as they smell the apple pie. 2. Bouquets of flowers appear all around, and each creature in the cube must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or be blinded until the start of your next turn.
They're
As the
roses
flowers
and they stab you in the eye.
No.
As the flowers spray water in their faces.
Yes,
it's
they're
a
like
water
clown
flower gag.
flowers.
Yeah. 3. Each creature in the cube must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or begin giggling until the start of your next turn. You good? You get hit by the spell? A giggling
makes me
creature
really
is incapacitated and uses all its movement to move in a random direction.
I love spells that do that.
Yeah, it's very good.
Okay,
4.
I don't know who Nathair is, but obviously I need to learn more about them.
You obviously vibe with Nathair very hard.
Oh,
4.
so
Drops
hard.
of molasses appear and hover in the cube, turning it into difficult terrain until the start
Oh,
of your next turn.
Okay, I'm just throwing it out there. This is the worst spell. You are in battle and then suddenly you are sticky. You're like, I can't do
Yes.
anything else. You can kind of power through being hurt. To me, if I get sticky, I'm like, I can't do anything else. I have to go take a bath
so it
right
turns
now.
out Nathair is like a precious little like butterfly fairy dragon.
Oh,
And let's see. He loved juvenile practical jokes. A favorite gag was using magical illusions to cause the buttocks of humans to radiate red light. So that's the vibe.
That's quite good, actually. That's quite good. Break lights.
Nothing but respect.
Nice. All right, let's move on here. We got 2 left, and then we're done. You've stuck with us this far. It's been 7 hours. Food and water are running low. Ralothim's Psychic Lance. 4th level enchantment spell. Casting time 1 action. Range 120 feet. Components verbal only. Duration instantaneous. You unleash a shimmering lance of psychic power from your forehead at a creature that you
what?
can see within range.
How'd you fit a whole lance in your forehead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Psychic energy.
is a-
Alternatively,
This is a unicorn spell. This is not a dragon spell.
alternatively, you can utter the creature's name. If the named target is within range,
Oh.
it gains no benefit from cover or invisibility as the lance homes in on it. If the named target isn't within range, the lance dissipates and the spell slot is not expended.
Oh.
The target must succeed on an intelligence saving throw or take 10d6 psychic damage and be incapacitated until the start of your next turn.
Okay.
At higher levels, when you cast this spell using a spell slot of 5th level or higher, the damage increases by 1d6 for each slot level above 4th.
That's
so this
pretty
is
spicy.
like a psychic narwhal of death.
Yeah, I really like that it plays on the like true naming.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
that's really cool.
Whenever they do that kind of stuff, I'm all over it, folks. I love that kind of stuff.
Well, and
I
it's
really.
go ahead.
I'm just gonna say I'm really surprised they say it's not the spell slot is not expended, because that means I can just walk around saying names
Dave.
until it works.
That makes someone who can do this and is hunting you so scary.
They're following you. Mercy,
Hold on.
mercy,
Mercy.
oh no.
Okay, wait. The range. Sorry, I'm dumb because it has a 120 feet range. I was
120
like,
feet.
They can't just
you
say
can't
your name
just
across
say
the
it,
continent
and
and
in a
zap you.
voodoo doll
But
style,
as
they
they're
are.
approaching you, they can just keep saying it until they're finally within 120
Or-
feet, and
oh
now
gosh.
they know exactly where you are.
Imagine the tension. Okay, there's a psychic bounty hunter out for you. You guys have managed to hide with a seeming or like an illusion, like an illusion, or like one of you's invisible, and you're all hiding out, and like you weren't able to escape, but you were able to get into a position where you can hide, and he's just standing in the alleyway, and he goes, "Mercy," and then one of you explodes into psychic damage and starts screaming, and he knows exactly where you are.
Because you
now.
can't help but scream.
Yeah.
You are polymorphed and invisible in a trunk, and
he can hit you with this spell.
And he says your name, and then he goes, "Found you."
Yeah. Oh
really
gosh,
that's
this is
bad.
good.
Spooky.
This
It's
is
good.
good stuff.
It's only a 4th level spell.
But he also looks like a narwhal as he says that. He looks like a magic
Only
unicorn.
for a second.
Psychic
It doesn't
power.
just stay sticking out
It's
of the
not
forehead.
a horn.
It doesn't just sit there.
Oh.
It's just like a bolt.
Oh, it
just, like,
shoots out of
shoots
your
out.
forehead like Zappy Zappy Sparky Sparky Boom Man from Avatar.
Yes, exactly like
I
that. That's
thought
correct.
that what it was that you grew a horn that was like glittery, and while you were casting this spell, it had to just stay on your forehead. That is why I kept saying it's a unicorn spell. I thought that it was just like this, like how you grow wings in the other spells, and
Yeah.
I was like,
No,
what does
I
this have to
get
do
it.
with dragons?
Well, to be fair, you did say that after the first sentence of the spell description, so that may be why you got a
You
little
maybe have
stuck
jumped the gun
there.
on that one. Yeah, a little bit.
It doesn't say afterwards, which it then leaves your forehead. Don't
Yes,
worry,
it does.
you don't.
It says it hones in on that.
I just thought that it meant that it like was jerking your head around, and then it pointed at them.
All
And
right.
I was
okay.
thinking that that's stupid that you have this glittery
Okay.
horn that's moving your face
This
around.
spell-
I
spell
genuinely thought
rules.
that.
I don't know who Rowlithim is. Does anybody know? Do we have a
He's
Wikipedia
probably
check on
some
that one?
rad, terrifying dragon.
Is it a gem dragon? Is what I'm wondering, because it's
That
psychic
sounds
damage.
It's
Gemmy.
probably Jemmy.
A paranoid emerald dragon.
Emerald dragon.
Lawful neutral. Paranoid makes sense. He's like trying to find people.
Summon Draconic Spirit, the final spell of the document. Thank Rothalim.
Thank Bahamut.
Or Rowlithim. Summon Draconic Spirit, 5th level conjuration spell. Casting time, 1 action. Range, 60 feet. Components, VSM. The material is an art object from a dragon's hoard, worth at least 500 gold
This
pieces.
is a dangerous spell. Because you gotta get that from
You
a
have to go
dragon's
rob
hoard.
it. Well, maybe
Someone
it's a
else
gift.
could have robbed it.
Yeah,
it
or
could be a
maybe
gift.
it's a it's a gift
from a nice one.
because it kind of is. It could be you calling on a friend dragon, right? That could be the vibe of it.
It does
Duration,
say an art object,
concentration.
so it can't be a gold coin. It has to
Hey,
be.
gold
No,
can be
It's
art.
got to be like a painting or something, or
Yeah.
like a statue or a vase. Or
You just have like a full-on like
A 6 foot
5,
tall
yeah,
oil
6
painting.
6 by 6 oil painting that
you
you
got the
just
Mona
carry with
Lisa.
You
love
go to a
that.
dragon and you're like, "Can I have a piece of art?" And they're like, "Yes." And it is a giant porcelain urn, and you're like,
It's
can
a
I
full.
get? Can I
It's
get
like the
something
Venus
else?
de Milo. It's like a full human statue
And you're
made
like,
of
"Can I get
marble that you have to
something
like
else?"
carry
They're
around.
like, "You reject my gift," and you're like, "No, of course I don't."
It's beautiful. Okay. You call forth a draconic spirit. It manifests in an unoccupied space that you can see within range. This corporeal form uses the draconic spirit stat block, which is provided at the end of the document. When you cast this spell, choose a family of dragon, chromatic, gem, or metallic. The creature resembles a dragon of the chosen family, which determines certain traits in its stat block. The creature disappears when it drops to 0 hit points or when the spell ends. The creature is an ally to you and your companions. In combat, the creature shares your initiative count, but it takes its turn immediately after yours. It obeys your verbal commands, no action required by you. So, okay.
So it's a better ranger.
So rangers don't get this, but wizards get it?
Well,
Can't talk
'cause
about
this
rangers
expends
right
a
now.
resource.
We don't have time. We can't talk about rangers right
If you
now.
don't issue any, it takes the dodge action and uses its move to avoid danger. At higher levels, when you cast this spell using a spell slot of 6th level or higher, use the higher level wherever the spell's level appears in the stat block.
So that's a way to scale up the challenge
stats,
rating of
yeah.
the creature, yeah.
So
it's a
basically, you get a dragon companion for a hot minute.
For an hour.
Hot hour.
Yeah. So let's look at the stats real quick here. Draconic Spirit, large dragon.
Oh, it's big.
So it is big. It's not huge, right? But it's like
He's a big boy.
horse-sized, I suppose, bear-sized. Armor class 14 plus the level of the spell, natural armor. So higher spell, higher level spell, higher level armor class.
And so this is already a 5th level spell, so that's automatically a 19 armor
19.
class.
Yeah, very good.
So the
Hit
higher
points.
level you cast this, the thicker your dragon is.
Pretty much, yeah.
Correct. Hit points 50 plus 10 for each spell level above 5th. So yet again, gets more hit points as you cast it up. It has a speed of 30 feet, a fly speed of 80 feet, and a swim speed of 30 feet. It has a series of stats I won't get into because I'm not interested.
Is it the same dragon just beefed up more or less, or is it a different dragon depending on...
It's like a dragon spirit, so it can
They-
be
they
whatever.
can't overly prescribe it because that would be writing too much into like your campaign,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
But I
'Cause
guess
I
you
like
as
the
a
idea
DM
that
can
it's-
decide
Yeah,
what that means.
I like the idea that if you could, as a personal thing, if your party knows a dragon who gave them an art object, you specifically are like, oh, with that gold dragon we know, I choose metallic every time, and it's
him,
like him
yeah.
visiting or whatever, you know, like not literally, but of representation.
Astral projecting.
Damage resistances: chromatic and metallic only. Acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison. So all of them. You don't just pick one. It just gets all of them. Damage resistances: gem only. Force, necrotic, psychic, radiant, thunder.
So
Yeah.
the
So if you
gem,
pick chromatic
the gem
or-
damage, yeah.
Yeah, metallic or
Okay.
gem, it'll change which resistance it
But
gets.
metallic ones shouldn't get poisoned technically.
Ooh, got 'em. Condition immunities: charmed, frightened, poisoned. Senses: blind sight 30 feet, dark vision 60 feet, passive perception 12. Languages: draconic, and understands the language you speak, or languages
Doesn't
you speak.
speak the language you speak. It just
It's
understands it.
Correct,
It's
yeah.
a Chewbacca situation.
Yes.
Okay.
Proficiency bonus equals your bonus. Shared resistances: when you summon the dragon, choose one of its damage resistances. You have resistance to the chosen damage type until the
Okay.
spell
Okay,
ends.
that's really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, you get a little bit of thrown in there.
nice.
I pick lightning.
It's
Okay,
through
sure.
the like power of anime friendship that you
Yeah.
have the the same chutzpah that your friend has.
Yeah. Actions: multi-attack. It uses its breath weapon, and it makes a number of bite and claw attacks equal to half the spell's level, rounded down.
Oh, jeez.
So,
So
yeah.
it will
So it starts
inherently
off at
start at 2.
and it goes up from there. Bite and claw is the melee weapon attack. It is your spell attack modifier to hit with a reach of 10 feet, and it takes 1d6 plus 4 plus the spell's level piercing damage.
Okay.
Not bad, especially if
So that's
you
going to
get
be
2 or 3.
inherently 1d6 plus 9.
And then breath weapon. The dragon exhales a stream of multicolored energy. Yet again, energy, easy. In a 30-foot cone, each creature in that area must make a dexterity saving throw, taking 2d6 damage of your choice of a damage type this dragon has resistance to on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. So you pick its breath weapon damage when you have it use it, and it can be any of the ones that it is resistant to.
This
So,
is a chunky friend. to
oh
some.
yeah, well it's
Wait.
a 5th level spell.
Yeah.
But the breath weapon damage doesn't scale.
It does not.
Oh,
It's
once
interesting
again.
which things scale.
But it
What
uses its
scales
breath
and what
weapon
doesn't?
every turn.
Oh, it just
It-
okay. It just automatically.
As part of its
uses
multi-attack,
Okay.
it uses it's not a like a regular Dragon's Breath weapon. It has to roll a d6 to see if it gets it back, all that kind of stuff. No, this is just every turn it gets that for free, and then it takes its bite and claw attack. So, the only reason you wouldn't use it is if you don't want to use it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it would do it every time. Yeah, it's a big chonky dragon that gets a bunch of cool resistances and breath ability, and you get a resistance. It's pretty cool. I like
cool.
it.
Yeah.
It's strong. It fits into the realm of the recent summoning abilities. They kind of, or the summoning spells. They just added in Tasha's.
They just kind of have their vague stat block.
Yeah, where it's like summon demon or whatever. It's like instead of what it was in the normal player's handbook, there's just a more regular version
Yeah.
that's less wild and unpredictable.
Well, and I like, because some people really like having the dragon aesthetic, but for whether it is that you're a Dragonborn or the whole Draconic Ranger companion thing that they made before or whatever, usually if you want dragons involved with your character in D&D, it has to be that, like, that is the only, like, dragons are everything about you, and you might not want that. You just might want a dragon that is able to appear like, you just might want dragon adjacent things.
Call on a dragon.
So this gives you that ability to kind of, like, have dragons be in your life without having them be your life, if that
So
makes
with
sense.
this one being for druid, sorcerer, and wizard, I think that's a good point being, because for a wizard, it makes sense to me just thinking about famous wizards in fantasy, where it's like, oh, well, I call on my old friend, and you like summon, and even if dragons aren't like your
Fifth
whole
fastest
thing.
dragon.
And druids are conjuring all kinds of spirits all the times, but then you also might just like be a draconic sorcerer.
Yeah.
And it fits any of those vibes.
I do now thinking about this, because I was like, oh, so you've got like a Charizard with you. That's sweet. Now I just want a summoning wizard who's a Pokemon trainer, and they use all the summoning spells, but because they're all concentration, so you just have like, you have to swap it out like a Pokemon, where
be
you're
so
like,
good.
come back, Charizard, go, Pikachu. Yeah.
On that note, too, this is definitely one of the newer summoning spells, because it doesn't have the elemental stipulation that when you lose concentration, it goes insane
It goes
and
on a
starts
rampage.
attacking
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't have that.
This seems to be a
ridiculous-
much more consensual summoning than some of the
Yeah.
other ones imply.
Yeah, it's a friend, and you're all cool. There's no way it could be not cool. If you lose concentration, as far as I can tell, it just disappears.
It just goes away, yeah.
Nothing. It just vanishes.
What if
yeah.
when you lose concentration, it just goes, oh, and then just like walks away slowly?
Walks
like,
off. It's like, I've got laundry.
Bro,
do
you
think
didn't
it's
believe in me.
interesting.
And then he just vanishes.
okay,
I do
you
think
lose
it's interesting
concentration.
on like a meta level.
Oh,
You keep going.
Okay.
But-
I do think it's interesting on like a meta level how a lot of the time, I think pretty much all the time, when they have you summon something that can then die, it's just like a spirit spectral form of the thing, so that you aren't just like ripping creatures from their homes and then like making them fight to the death for you. Like,
Yeah.
unlike
it
the
doesn't
genie,
feel horrible.
unlike the genie summoning ring, which just pulls the genie from wherever it was and
Real
what it was
genie.
doing and just brings it here. And they're like, okay, I was having dinner with my mother-in-law, and so now that's gonna be a real tough one for me to go back to.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Yeah, what do you want me to do? You want me to fight this for you? Okay, I might die today, I guess, you know.
All right, that's the Draconic Options document. We made it.
Yay.
Folks, if you're still here, if you're still listening, hats off to you.
You're
Gonna-
real
round of
ones.
applause just for you. Good
Yeah.
work.
I
You've
mean,
stuck with us this whole time.
considering how much we winged it this whole episode, I think that we did a pretty good job. And it's
Dra-
cool because the
Dragon
Unearthed
winged it.
Arcana is like setting, it's like a whole nother scale that they're bringing to the table.
Woof.
Onog's not reacting more than that, and I wanted to get more of a reaction out of
You
him.
want you?
We
no,
all
let's
just, we're
I'm
so
not-
tired.
I'm not gonna give you what you want.
It is too
We've
late.
been here for 100
Bean.
years.
We've been here for 4 days. All right, Draconic Options, Unearthed Arcana 2021. Any final thoughts? For me personally, there's a lot I like here. A lot of the spells are very cool. A lot of the race stuff very cool. The feats kind of under-deliver for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. My opinion, it's a much needed boost to the Dragonborn player races.
Yep.
That's the thing, is like a lot of people for a long time have been arguing that they are easily some of the weaker races, and now you could argue they're some of the stronger ones, just with this with the
overpowered, perhaps,
mild
tiny bit.
with just the mild wording changes on some of the abilities.
They didn't change too much. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they did.
They
it's
all
not-
got an extra
It's
ability.
not like they completely overhauled and
Yeah,
rebuilt it. Like, it's just a little change.
they didn't reinvent the wheel. They just went, what if we made this more round?
Yeah,
You know?
they
What if
gave
it
it
was a
hubcaps.
circle instead of a square.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm cool with it.
Great. Thanks for listening, travelers. Let us know your thoughts about this Unearthed Arcana down in the comments below. If you have a homebrew you'd like us to discuss on this channel, we actually do that sometimes when we're not busy doing other side quests.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been on a lot of side quests recently, but we'll get back to regular episodes. Don't you worry. If you have a homebrew you'd like us to discuss on the channel, send it to us at our email, thecopperfoxinn@gmail.com, or on social media at thecopperfoxinn. Make sure to go give feedback on this Unearthed Arcana as soon as the survey comes up.
Yes.
Probably in a week or two, sometimes a little later than that. They'll put up a survey for feedback. But with that, I believe that draws this side quest to a close.
Yeah.
And nobody even died.
Ah, man, it's nice. I like this document. I like all the sentences and even the clause. Ziz.
I think actually that old lady we were trying to help did die because we were here for so long.
Or did we die and we're in hell because Bean keeps making dragon puns?
Comment below
that would
your
try.
favorite dragon pun. Not one I made. Make a new one. Bring it. See if we can kill Onog through the power of puns alone. This is his punishment.
Newsflash, man literally too angry to die.
He's a zealot
Wait,
barbarian.
that's just what the orc ability, half orc ability
yeah.
is, Onog.
Yes.
Or the zealot barbarian. Until next time, travelers, keep on adventuring. See you soon.
Bye.
Ah.